This week's episode is sponsored by Change. Change is the #1 mentoring program that teaches you e-commerce from scratch. Change has a real community with real results. I have been working with Ryan for many years now and have attended many of his events and retreats across the world and got to meet members and the amazing community of like-minded people. Ryan works with a lot of big names in the business world, helping them build online businesses and e-commerce. Change offers personal one-on-one support, no experience needed, but like anything, this takes time and is not a get-rich-quick scheme. If you put the work in, you will get the results. E-commerce and online shopping is getting bigger and bigger. This is a great opportunity for anyone that is looking for financial freedom. For more information, go follow Ryan on Instagram at RyanJB, and he will guide you through the steps to help you get started and build a successful online business. You can now follow me on all my social media platforms to find out who my latest guest will be. And don't forget to click the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you're notified for when my next podcast goes live. And boom, we're on. And
Hello.
today's guest, we've got Lady Victoria Hervey. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Good
First
to
and
meet you.
foremost, thanks for coming on. Sorry, I was late today. The train was delayed. But very good to have you on.
Yeah,
Very
no
fascinating as well. A lot of people, you know, some of the most powerful men on this planet. You've rubbed shoulders with them. A lot of the men I've spoke out against, if I'm honest, as well. You're going to defend some of these men, which is a great thing also,
And
which I respect.
Of course, and I'm not going to defend every man, but, you know, I have met a lot of these people that have been in a lot of media scrutiny recently. And a lot of people, they just run, you know, they hear the name, like, as an example, you know, Ghislaine Maxwell or something, they just run for the hills. Because a lot of people, they don't have the information that I was lucky to get. And so that is why I've been able to defend certain people very, you know, with a loud voice and not have any repercussions. I've never had a legal letter from anyone, example, Virginia Guthrie, like any of that. I've called them con artist liars on live television. I've had nothing. Every network by now realizes that, okay, she's got to be telling the truth.
But it is interesting because a lot of these people who you are defending, every one of their friends and family have run for the hills. So I can respect that, and it takes bottle to put yourself out there, because the majority of people, they do follow a trend. And like we spoke earlier, not everybody has the information of what's going on. Social media can play a part in that. Listen, I play a part in that myself. Sometimes it's my business to then go with the information that I've had. But you've got to be careful, because sometimes that information isn't always 100%
No,
accurate.
of course. I mean, depending, like, for me, I can defend Prince Andrew and say, absolutely, this guy is innocent, because the witnesses that I have, which we'll be hearing more about the next couple of months, one of them is actually under a gag order by a judge. But once that stuff comes out, I think a lot of people are going to have to be, well, they're going to be very quiet and feel very embarrassed, actually. With other people in the media right now, example, the Diddy situation, no, I don't know. I wasn't in the room. I just can say from me observing, having traveled with him on planes and been on boats and being at parties with his mother and his kids, yes, is someone trialed because they're bisexual? I don't think that that's against the law, is it? There was an FBI raid. They found a housekeeper and 2 of his kids in the house. Like, it's not a child trafficking organization. Like, yes, he likes to party. He parties a lot. Yes, he might do drugs. He had an alcohol brand. He was promoting his alcohol brand nonstop, actually. You know, if you saw his Instagram before, like, daily, Ciroc, De Leon, tequila. Does that make him a bad guy? Like, I don't know if he beat anybody up.
Before we get into all this stuff, though, I always like to go back to the start with my guests, get more of an understanding about you, where you grew up, and how it all began.
Yeah. So I grew up I was born in London. We moved to south of France when I was a couple years old. And I was at a school, French school, till I was about 8. And then I was sent off to boarding school. So I was pretty young. You know, I started flying. I was like one of those little unaccompanied minors with a thing around my neck, British Airways. And I only came home really half term. So I would go to my grandmother. She lived in Kent as well. But it was I enjoyed it. Like some people were like, wow, that's really young to board. And it is really young. But, you know, we were allowed pets at school. We had bunny rabbits and hamsters and ponies, and it wasn't so bad.
What was boarding school? See, when you go to boarding school,
You know,
that's a young age.
well, I boarded very young.
Were you
'cause-
lonely?
No,
or were you so used to that life?
No, you make very good friends. Like being in that sort of environment, dormitory with, you know, it was all girls school. I think you make those bonds like really strong. Like I have actually quite a few friends still from prep school and my secondary school that I am in touch with. And if I don't see them for a year or two, or even like I went down to Benidorm, my school for, it was like 100-year anniversary. And there was one of my old best friends. I hadn't seen her in maybe 15 years. And it was like I saw her yesterday. You know, that's the amazing thing about like old friendships. And you've been through so much together. You know, we would build our camps in the woods and climb trees and do all these fun things. But I was sent there young because French was really my first language. And my parents wanted me to get into a good boarding school in England and not be at a day school in Monaco. So,
But you felt a bit of trauma when you were younger as well. You lost your dad at an early age at 9, is that correct?
actually I was eight and a half.
Very young.
Yeah, I was really young. I just started boarding school as well, which was terrible timing. I just started the school term. I would have started September and he died in March. And so yeah, that was really tough. I remember being brought into the headmistress's office and sort of her private sitting room. The prep school was owned by a Scottish family, actually. And, you know, getting that phone call, having my mother on the line to tell me. And, yeah, it was really hard, actually, because at that time, I didn't really have friends that had lost parents, like obviously later on in life, you know, but not really at that age. There weren't many like me.
But you close to your dad?
I was really close. I was actually born on his birthday. Hence my name is Victoria. His name was Victor. So I was a birthday present. So.
I bet you reminded them of that. I think,
Yeah, well, I was like the first girl in my family for over 100 years. And my father had had 2 previous marriages before me, both boys, both very naughty, very difficult. And so I think it was like quite a relief when I was born.
You must have been spoiled rotten then, being
Yeah,
the
I was.
What do you mean, the only girl in 100 years? What, like, in
Yeah,
the family,
just
just
always
all
had
brothers,
boys.
old uncles, old cousins,
Yeah.
boys, or
Lots
just...
of boys.
That's crazy. How were you treated then? You must have seen a lot of trouble then with all the family members and family gatherings if it was just all male.
Well, we didn't really have big family gatherings. I mean, I suppose we did when I was like really small. And, but our family was quite disjointed.
Just like every family then.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not alone there.
Right.
So see, when, I think you lost, sorry to talk about the dad stuff, but did
Yeah.
you lose 2 brothers also at the start in the first 5 years?
I did. So I had 2 half brothers, John Bristol from the first marriage, and Nicholas, second marriage. So yeah, John actually died about a year after Nicholas. So the younger one died before the elder one.
Were you close to them?
Not really. You know, I was a lot younger. So like my father, 3 marriages, you know, throughout his life. He died when he was 69 from from cancer complications, and I'm just losing track of what I'm saying now. We weren't very close. We weren't very close. It was, when my father died, there was litigation against the will for a long time. So it was, the family was pretty much at war.
Why does that always happen when people die?
I know. And, they inherited so much already when my father was alive, but people get greedy.
Yeah, it happens all the time. And no matter if it's from £100 to 100 million people, they're always hating on each other.
Yeah.
They're just, for me, money's the root of all evil.
It is.
And people
really
don't
is.
realise that, because I always say it, but there's no really any value to money. All the value we give it is up here. And it's
true.
And we kill for it, we die for it. And it's just, listen, I still love money, even though I know it's fucked up. I still enjoy finer things in life. I still do great things with it. But it is a kind of energy currency, and people kind of, the money is, the world is run by greed. It's run by power, it's run by money, and money does bring power to a certain degree. But when you actually break it all down, we're all got a level playing field.
Know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And some people don't respect it.
Do you see that, obviously, later on in life? Because everybody changes. You can meet someone who's starting off and go, he's amazing. As soon as they start making a few quid, they change. Something changes in them. It gives people a sense of power and a sense of purpose, that they're better than others.
Yeah.
But it's not the case. Everybody bleeds the same.
I mean, what I love is meeting people that you just never even know that they had money, and they're just so low key about it. I always like that.
But you'll see your Zuckerbergs and they walk about with a pair of flip flops on and shorts.
Exactly.
And then you've got me.
Then in Hollywood, Hollywood, it's kind of the other way around, right? You sort of get the hippie actors that have just got holes in their jumpers and stuff, and that's a bit extreme. It's like, go get some clothes. Like, you have millions of dollars, dress properly.
But one of the best actors, I think, is Keanu Reeves. Seems to have a clean heart. Seems to be a good guy. Riding his subway, waits in queue. Doesn't really. He's
really amazing with his staff. Apparently, like what I've heard, this one girl that used to work for him, he bought her a shop on Sunset Boulevard. He's very generous. I've heard that.
Him and Robin Williams. I think Robin Williams used to get the homeless men to play as extras, give them money, give them food, give them heat. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you tend to see that it's the ones who get the kindest hearts who struggle the most in life. So through school, did you rebel then once you lost your father and went through a bit of trauma? The shackles kind of off, or were you?
Did I rebel? Not really. I mean, I wasn't I wouldn't say I was a really naughty schoolgirl. I mean,
could you though?
Yeah, we smuggled sweets into school.
But could you rebel when you sort of boarding schools? Were they strict?
Yeah, pretty strict. So, when I was 8 or 9 at my prep school, I don't think I really rebelled. Luckily, I'm a real animal lover, so I had that as sort of my therapy, I suppose, and just always had loads of pets and was breeding my pets at 10 years old. I bred my rabbit. She had baby bunnies. And, I think, a lot of horse riding. I spent a lot of time in the stables. And then secondary school, I don't think I was super rebellious. I mean, I did get in trouble because I had a loud voice, apparently. So when lights off, it would be me having to stare at a wall for 2 hours as a punishment, or, you're made to write lines, 200 of the same thing. I will not do this. But I wouldn't say I wasn't dyeing my hair purple and getting piercings and tattoos. My mother was she wouldn't even let me have my ears pierced until I was 17 or something. So yeah, I wasn't that bad.
Yeah, crazy. Waited till later on in life, did you?
I still don't have a tattoo, actually. I still don't have a tattoo, and I managed to avoid that living in Los Angeles for 18 years. So I think I did pretty well. Yeah, look, I had my fair share of partying. I think it's sort of what everybody goes through at some point, and I was lucky that I got that most of it out of my system pretty young.
Yeah. Do you think being in boarding schools makes you want to try out everything that you've kind of been oblivious from, because was it so strict that you kind of pushes you away, or does it keep you disciplined?
Really. Not really. I remember I'm trying to think the first time I ever went to Ibiza. I went with one of my good friends from school. I get this like request from Glamour magazine, and it's like, oh wow, I'm like 18. They want to pay me to go to Ibiza, all paid for and be paid, and could take a friend. I was like, wow, this is awesome. So I went with one of my best friend from school. We had the best time ever. I think that's probably when we tried ecstasy for the first time. Um, we were like brushing our teeth in the bathroom after coming back from this club, and it was like daylight. And we were like, wow, even brushing our teeth feels amazing. But looking back on it, yeah, school was strict, but that didn't make me sort of be rebellious later.
What did you do after school?
So I had a gap year. I actually was going to be going to uni for 4 years, studying French and history of art. With a language, it is 4 years. And I was going to go to St. Andrews, Exeter, or Bristol. I got into all the unis I wanted to go to, basically. I was sort of like one of those children that sort of fluked their way through exams, revised always last minute. And we would sit in the kitchen listening to Aerosmith on caffeine pills. And so we'd stay up all night before an exam, and I'd somehow get through it and like do really well. I got like two A's and BA level. But there's a thing in England about deferred entry. It's quite a popular thing. But the problem is I ended up just having way too much fun in my gap year to then go to uni.
Did you get a taste for that other side of life?
Well, what it was is like, for me, I'd been at boarding school since the age of 8 years old. And a lot of these people that I get it, like if you don't have that experience, university is like it's a new thing. You get to like, live with friends and all of that. And I kind of felt like I'd already done that. For like the people that had been at day school, like it would have been, a new kind of experience, uni. But when I left school, I had this gap year. I traveled around Malaysia and Thailand for about 6 months. There was a Malaysian girl at my school who was a good friend of mine's, Farah. And yeah, we had a adventure that was really my first time to Asia, although I'd been to China once, actually on a school trip when I was 16, which we did get good trips at school. I studied the subjects where we would have good trips. So like history of art was one of them. We'd get good trips on that. Well, obviously I liked it, but we got to go to Barcelona, Florence, all these amazing places. And so after Asia, then I did a Queen's secretarial course because my mother was like, right, you need to get some qualifications so you can start working. So I did that. So I learned shorthand. I learned I was actually really good at that as well.
What's shorthand?
I can't believe it. Shorthand, it looks like a bunch of squiggles.
Like reporters do?
Yeah. I learned how to do that.
So is that getting its own, like, obviously we've got our alphabet, but is that getting its own kind of formula? Of,
yeah.
Because obviously journalists write down, you think, what the fuck have they just written? Is all theirs kind of the same, or have they got all their own different techniques?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's like a certain language. So I did that, and then I lived in Florence for a couple of months. Actually, I was out 5 months or something, studying history of art in Florence. And I finished the gap year. I met someone who was older than me, who owned... So I would have been, 18, 19 at this point. He was 35. And we moved in. Actually, I had a flat first just off Sloane Square with two of my friends that I'd been in my gap year with. Then I met this guy after that. And, suddenly the idea of being a student again, I started modeling as well. I started earning money, and the rest is history.
And now here we are. You have, like I say, which we'll touch on, you have rubbed shoulders with some of the most powerful men on the planet, some even to this day. It's mad. When did you... Because where does the lady Victoria Hervey, where's that name? Something to do with Bristol? What's the connection?
Something to do with Bristol, yeah.
Yeah, what is that?
I think so, yeah, apparently. So my father was the Marquis of Bristol.
Yeah, what is that?
What is that?
Yeah, I'm Scottish, so I don't...
get the encyclopedia.
Yeah, listen, I looked it up when I was
Everybody
coming.
watching this,
I looked
just
at
look it
it
up.
coming down, and I was like, what is that?
I know it's very long and complicated, but so the daughter of a marquis or an earl is a lady, and it's something like at school I never told anybody. I was like, I just wanted to be like the same as everybody else, and my grandmother wrote me this letter. This is to my prep school, and she put lady on it, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so embarrassing. So then they started asking me about it, and I basically got outed that I was Lady Victoria, but I don't think anyone really understood it. Like there would be one board because there was quite a lot of kids at my school that lived abroad, so it would all have our flight details, and it would be like my name with Nice, but people would think it was Nice, Nice Airport. So yeah, it was something that I was like, oh, I really kind of wanted to hide as a child. And then as I got older, I kind of realized actually like this has sort of got a little advantage as well. I need to sort of milk it.
Nothing's changed now. So you've kind of through that life, you had your older boyfriend. Were you starting to get attracted to that kind of party lifestyle and
Yeah, I mean,
men in power?
I think so. Look, I was 19. I started dating Moans Tolstrop. At the time, he owned, the really happening hotspots in London as far as restaurants. He started Daphne's in the Collection, and he actually then opened like another 2 or 3 restaurants. After that, he had a Moroccan one and then a Vietnamese. So yeah, I was sort of thrust into this sort of lifestyle, I suppose. And I was kind of the baby, I was hanging out with a lot of people older than me. And it's just, I just started going out a lot. A few years after that, I started writing a column for the Sunday Times. It was called Victoria's Secrets. And then it was like even more pressure to go out, because then I was actually having to fill pages of what I'm not actually doing. So then it became a bit more of a chore, and it would get to that point where I'd be like, oh, I don't really want to go out. Like now, my life is very balanced. And the last time I was living in England, I was in my 20s. I'm now 40s. It's very different. We're not like going to nightclubs anymore, falling out of cars, or, when I look back, I'm like, wow, it was kind of quite a rock star kind of life.
Was he your first love?
Was he my first love? Yeah, probably.
Or was it lust?
No, it was actually quite a long relationship. We were together for about 3.5 years. And then he decided to run off with this girl, Lena, who was the singer in that crazy band Aqua that sang that Barbie Girl song.
Fuck off, the girl with
Yes. So I'm a Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Yeah.
Every time I hear that song, I just want to like punch a wall.
You must have heard it recently though, because of the new movie it was out.
I know. So this girl became like upset. Like it kind of like the last year of our relationship, we would break up, get back together. It was sort of like quite tempestuous by the end. I mean, it was about 3.5 years. And so kind of, I suppose, during a sort of a mini break and us getting back together, we were still living together. I then get this message from this girl, Lena, right? So we were all kind of hanging out back then because my boyfriend at the time, he was Scandinavian. I was friends with some other band members. I set up my friend Consuelo with one of the other guys in Aqua. Anyway, before I knew it, I've got Lena messaging me going, oh, don't come to Saint-Tropez this weekend because I'm going to be staying in the house. And I was like, what? So I called my friend Consuelo. I'm like, right, we're going to Saint-Tropez. This is going to be like, so yeah, I did head on. I ended up like crashing my moped in the sand outside Club 55. It was a mess. So yeah.
How does that knock your confidence when someone cheats?
It's pretty bad. Yeah, it's pretty bad. That was, and I was very young as well at the time. And that really hit me hard. Like that is still the longest relationship I've ever been able to have from back then. That's still like the record.
I'm laughing.
I didn't
because,
trust men
yeah,
after that,
but
you know?
love is painful.
Yeah.
It's and I'll always say this: look, death and that you kind of get over. You can handle it. Love stays with you forever. The breakup, the pain of a breakup is the worst pain ever because it's internal pain. It's so deep where you don't really know how to get over it. They drink, the drugs, or sleeping with other men or women or whatever it is to try and deflect. But even speaking about it now, it'll still bring back with that bastard. Like there's something, and it fucks you up for the rest of your life because,
Yeah.
like you say, it's in and out relationships, not knowing how to trust. It really does some
Right.
damage.
And so he had a little daughter at the time, you know, so I was really young. I was like 19. He's got this sort of 5-year-old daughter, very sweet. And, you know, I bumped into her a couple years ago. We were still in contact. And she said to me in front of her mother in this restaurant, she goes, I wish that you'd been my mother and married my father. I was like, oh, that's so sweet, but I can't believe you just said that in front of your mother. So yeah, it's you know, it was just, I look at life and it's just all timing, isn't it? And you know, we have to go through these things to learn what we don't want.
Yeah, but the thing is, we don't really learn. We don't
I
really
try
learn.
and
I
not
try.
date those types.
Yeah, I
anymore.
try, but it's painful because whatever insecurities and we've all got low self-esteem, those things trigger you for the rest of your life. Everybody who I know who's been fucked over or fucked someone over, there's always karma, there's always something it does to your mindset as well, and it scars the mindset. You can never really hear it.
Yeah, I had some really crazy relationship things that happened to me. And then so after that, I had this very sweet boyfriend called Seb, and I cheated on him for this racing car driver who then ended up marrying. No, wait, Seb ended up marrying his fiance. It's really twisted stuff.
Okay.
No. So the guy Seb I was dating, who I was dating him. This other guy, David, racing car driver. If that rings any bells.
Yeah, cool tab.
Not going to say, but could have the same accent as you. Anyway, so he was engaged to this girl called Heidi at the time. Anyway, like this whole thing blew up. Like some photographer got like a photo of us like outside a club. I guess we weren't like super subtle. And anyway, the result was Seb and Heidi getting married. Like within about 6 months. Like it was like total like rebound, right? I'm going to get both of them, you know? And it was just a fling when, you know, like you don't marry these racing car drivers. It's like, especially at the top of their career, like they're not really going to be the most faithful type either.
I don't know. They always seem the most clean cut, them and golfers.
Not
always
at
think they're
all.
quite clean cut, but then
You
again,
got
look at
racing
Tiger Woods.
drivers?
Yeah, they always look as if they're proper and they're everything they say on the media is very
They all
clean.
cheat.
Do they?
Yeah. I met a guy years later, and he then says to me, "Oh, I'm engaged. I'm getting married like next month." Oh, really? Oh, okay. Yeah. So no, it's all like deceiving.
But then back then you had all the girls as well, standing in front of the cars, all the models and stuff.
Exactly. It's just like, especially with sportsmen, you know, I feel like it's hard for them because they don't drink or party, obviously, and they're so dedicated to that sport that they're doing. And then the one time they might have a glass of champagne, like after a race, gets them like really drunk really quick. And whichever woman is there,
No way.
they'll take whatever.
Because who'd they have on? Katie Price. She said she was seeing Ralph Schumacher, but it came out he was gay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think he'd only had 2 partners, but the partner messaged
He was
Katie Price.
he was with Kylie Minogue's sister, wasn't he?
Yeah,
I'm sure of
Danny.
it. Danny Minogue.
But I think it was maybe Danny met, but apparently he came out as gay.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
You tend
You
to
know,
see it-
maybe you sometimes see that, like, or often, even if a guy is like super heartbroken, they literally then turn gay. I've seen that happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think the heartbreak's anything to do with that. I think they were always secretly gay. The amount of people who I interview,
Why are all these men bisexual now? Like, I want
Why
a
is
guy,
that?
like a proper guy. Like, I left LA. Like one of the reasons I left LA was like, there's no straight guys there.
Maybe you're
swear.
turning them all gay.
No, they're all just puny, just like wimpy. They're
Yeah.
not men, you know?
Yeah.
Like, where are these warrior men that we're supposed to have?
Scotland, babe. Listen.
Yeah, I know.
We're a rare
Let's
breed.
go get some
We're
men
a
with kilts.
fucking rare breed.
Braveheart. Yes.
But listen, this might sound crazy, but I think Alex Jones says it, and who else says it? They were putting stuff in the water that were turning frogs gay, and then they were
Yes.
putting it in
I've
the
read
actual
about that. Mm-hmm.
water of actual men turning gay. Someone said, listen, this sounds absolutely
no,
crazy.
it's true. I've read about
but
that.
because women take the contraception, whatever it is, in the water,
The pill.
with the pill, they flush it down, and with the, not testosterone, which women got,
But it's estrogen.
yeah.
That is it.
So
Estrogen.
women in the toilet, when they take
Yeah.
the pill, the estrogen's coming through the toilet water, it's mixing it and coming straight back through the sink. So apparently it's making men turn gay,
Mm. Okay.
turning into women, feminine.
Well, it's definitely like it's something because this is not normal. Like, what is the ratio now of gay men? It's like crazy.
this is the gayest generation of all time.
Well,
So
they're
some-
promoting little rainbow flags in like kindergarten classes,
Yeah.
and little kids are like, "I want the rainbow. I want the rainbow flag and the unicorn. Like that looks really fun." You
It's
know,
crazy, but again,
they've just banned puberty blockers in the UK. Have you seen that?
That's the best thing they've done. But Scotland have just put out a ban on speaking against trans or speaking against misgendering.
I thought these are the warriors in
Yeah,
Scotland.
that's why we're fucking turning gay
We're-
up there as well.
Oh no!
It's turning weird. The whole place is turning weird. But again, they're doing scientific proven now. People who watch porn as well, watching willies, watching balls, it's turning people gay as well. Because in their mind,
Really?
it's registering in their mind the stuff that they're seeing, and it's becoming normalised. So even all these perverts that are watching porn, the majority of them are gay. Just don't drink water, don't watch porn. You'll be sound.
Oh my god!
So see, when you're rubbing shoulders, then is that when you started understanding that lifestyle, the celebrity lifestyle, hanging about with A-listers? Were you feeling some sort of
Yeah,
empowerment?
I mean, I suppose the A-lister thing. Yeah, I was, like my friends are at uni, and I'm hanging out with, movie stars and rappers, and it's just all seems so fun, right? Like, why would it not be fun? But obviously, like, it just became that was the way of life, and I couldn't get out of that cycle for a long time. It was sort of the endless partying in Ibiza and Saint-Tropez and everywhere else.
Reminiscing there.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, oh my goodness, the adventures, Brazil and Cape Town and all of it. But, I look back at it and I'm like, yeah, it was fun. And friends of mine that got married really young, I feel like they definitely resented my lifestyle at the time because like they were at home with a baby. And a lot of women, I see this all the time, instead of really having a career or anything, they just get married. That's sort of their job. So they don't ever have to do anything themselves, right? The guy just provides for them. They've never even rented their own flat before. They just kind of moved right in with someone, and you get the professional wives. I mean, I know people, they're on like the third marriage, and they just pop out more kids and get more money from a divorce. That was never me. That was not what I wanted to do.
What was your longest relationship, the first one? 4 years?
Probably the longest one was, about 3.5 years, 4 years. Yeah, I think so. And then after that, I went from dating someone who was quite a lot older to me to suddenly dating younger guys.
The tables turned, don't they?
I know. So, after that whole mess, I suppose, of Seb and that whole breakup, and then I dated this male model called Nathan, who was really, really good looking. And actually, no, Nathan and I were like pretty much the same age. We were like a year apart. He was on this model TV show. It was called Model Behavior. It was like the first reality show back then. And we met at the Lord of the Rings premiere. And he was like kicking my chair. He was sitting right behind me. And I was with my friend OJ, who's a good friend of mine. And we usually like the same kind of guys. And he's like, Victoria, look. And I look. And so he kind of connected us after the film. And we ended up then all going to Cape Town for New Year's that year. And then I ended up dating him. But after that, I think for me, yeah, I look at some of the relationships of younger guys, and it's sort of, I suppose I got hurt by the older ones. So then I felt like I couldn't get hurt by younger guys as much because I would have the control.
It's a protection. Have you ever been in love?
Yeah, I think so. I've definitely like felt it for sure.
Because it is a weird feeling. And I always say, if we loved them, then why didn't we stay? Why didn't we work at it? Why didn't we put up with their faults and their bullshit? But because I always get asked if I've ever been in love, but I think
you haven't. What's your longest relationship?
18 months.
Okay, that's not great, is it? How old are you?
40.
Okay. That's still young though.
Yeah, I'm trying though. I'm fucking trying. It's difficult though, this day and age. I don't drink or anything, so it kind of limits.
Yeah,
things
but
out there.
there's a lot of other people that don't drink, you know, and you just need to find someone that likes the same things that you like.
You try to give me love advice? Your fucking relationship status is worse than me.
But you just need to, you know, like I just had this friend of mine and I was messaging him about this event, Cannes Film Festival around the corner coming up, and he's like, oh, I don't do that stuff anymore. I don't drink. And I'm like, that is pathetic. Like, you can still go to these events and not drink. Like, it doesn't mean just because you don't drink, it doesn't mean your life is over, you know? So I started Kundalini yoga about 5 years ago or so. And that actually really changed my life. As far as like, I spent many New Year's Eves. I didn't even have a glass of wine because you get such a high. I think you should try it. Kundalini.
Was that the serpent?
Kundalini, yeah. Kundalini yoga. But you get such a natural high that you wouldn't even think about drinking again.
I'm 6 years. I still think about it though, because I know who I was when I was on it.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. And that was such a good feeling, but it was a depression. When everybody went home, I stayed out. I didn't know where to go.
Well, that's the problem is, you see, like for me, I was lucky. Like I could party, I could go out, but I always had like that stop button. I always had like that feeling of like, even when I was in Ibiza, you know, and we were like nonstop at these clubs, like as soon as it was getting light, I was like, I got to go home, take a sleeping pill and go to sleep. But some people couldn't do that. You know, I have friends that they can't just have a glass of wine. They'll have a bottle of wine. So that's a difference. And that's how you have to learn how to like manage it and how it works for you.
But everybody I've seen in that life in their 20s, that very fast-paced lane that they're in, they do struggle now. They struggle now with to be content. They struggle now with peace. I don't know if it does something to the brain or the dopamine levels.
I think it does.
The receptors in the brain where you're just a constant
drugs
high.
like kills your brain.
Drugs and gambling. So I was constant chasing a buzz, and then it comes all down. Then you're kind of succeeding, but you never feel that sense of bliss or excitement. You just think, don't really feel anything.
Right.
You not become dead.
But you were sort of chasing. You just have to find different ways to get that natural high.
Yeah,
now.
my dog. Fuck everybody else. I'm just happy with my dog. Stevie boy here, little travel buddy. Is but it's to find the balance, and I don't have all the answers. I'm working to find the answers to not just do well for myself, but to show others. This ain't what it's all about either. All the glitz and the glam and try to be popular and that. It's all bullshit. You would have tasted it firsthand.
Yeah.
A lot of people in that life, because you're searching for something. We're all thinking that's the great life.
Well,
I got into that life for many years.
That's what I always say to people. So like, I've never been that person that has to like have that handbag. I'm not going to be putting these things on my Instagram, right? You have these girls that all they do, they post like bags or like their new Chanel coat or whatever. Like that is empty. That is like really empty living. Like if all you do is shop and you've got nothing else to talk about. I've never been one of those people. And I find like when people boast about, oh, I'm going to get this new car or this new thing, well, they get it and they get that high for like an hour or however long, because these are like people that are addicted, right? Shopping addicts. And then they crash again. So they got to keep spending and spending because they're searching, the real things that make us feel good, you can't buy. Like you can, these are things that it's free for all of us. It's just like we have to, it's like our own self, and we have to feel good. And if we don't feel good inside, buying anything is not going to make a difference.
Yeah, but again, we're living in a social media world where we think that is people are living a better life because they've posted a bigger car or flying a private plane. Everything's all rented now. It's all smoke and mirrors.
It's all a facade. Like you look at these people on Instagram, that's the other thing. So when I was doing all this in my early 20s, we were legit having a great time. Like there was none of this like, oh, hold on, let me just do a selfie with someone, or, if I have pictures of celebrities from back in the early 2000s, we did those photos because we weren't going to be posting them anywhere. Those are for personal use. Do you know what I mean? Like there wasn't any Instagram and stuff back then. So it was like, we took a photo of someone that was going to be in a frame at home or in a photo album. We weren't doing it to like show off to the world. Now, these people, they walk into a party, they get their phone out, they're getting someone who's famous to be in a photo with them that they've obviously like never probably even spoken to before. They're taking a bunch of pictures and then they leave. They're not experiencing anything. Like I feel so bad for this young generation. Is it Generation X? They're just, they're never going to have what we had. And I feel really bad for them that they're not going to have these like real experiences. Like everything is sort of so manipulated and so fake.
Yeah.
And it must be very hard being a child now.
Yeah, because they're really guinea pigs for the technology now. Our spines are starting to bend. We're getting dents in our fingers with holding our phones, and we're not really living it. And I'm caught up in it as well. I know this, and it fucking annoys me because I'm sucked in to a world of try to be something.
And then like right now, what's so scary, right? Like the rates for cancer is like going up and up and up. And like, what is that? Is a lot of it, is it from our phones? A lot of people getting brain cancer right now. I don't know. I try, and when I'm on the phone, I just have my phone on speaker and I have it and I talk into it. I never put it up to my ear. Yeah. But it is really worrying. Like, is it what they're putting in our food? Is it what they're putting in our water supply? I know actually EU and the UK, the regulations as far as like what can be put as far as pesticides in our food is actually much more regulated than the US. They can just literally like feed you garbage, and it's, you can buy it at Whole Foods.
Yeah. But even apple cider vinegar, fucking Bill Gates and Katy Perry bought over that. Apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
One of the most organic things ever. I used to fucking love it.
I know.
I used to drink a shot in the morning. It's good for the gut. It's so good.
I know. What was the brand that was like the brand? I think it was like Victoria Beckham that sort of really put apple cider vinegar on the map. I think it was like, she said, that was sort of the routine she did to kind of stay skinny and healthy. So like everyone then did it.
But it was so good to cleanse the gut. But Bill Gates had just bought over it.
And anything that Bill Gates buys, do not buy.
But like you say, we're guinea pigs, brain cancers, gut, the men are fucking cancers and suicide and men turning gay.
Why do you think there is such a big cancer rate right now?
It could be the radiation from Wi-Fi, it could be the radiation from phones, even iPods, stuff like that. But again, it's got to be something to do with the foods, the water, even breads.
And then all the kids have got like ADHD.
Yeah, it's all labels.
And all
but
this
then
other
the
stuff.
kids are getting vaccines. I think it's the K booster, the K vitamin booster.
Okay, so while we're talking about the vaccine, so what were your initial thoughts on the vaccine when it came out?
Bullshit.
Yeah.
It was made in under a year. A guy from Bill Gates who's no qualifications whatsoever. I was still climbing mountains. I was still doing my thing. I wasn't giving a fuck. People were saying, "Oh, you're killing my gran." Fuck your gran.
Yeah.
I'm doing my thing. I'm nowhere near anybody. I'm staying in nature. And I understand the fear factor. Understand it well.
No, because of course, like in the beginning, we were shown so much propaganda of these people in China on the streets, like collapsing and, were they all actors? Who knows? Look, there definitely was a virus. Like I think the people that did catch this virus early on got pretty sick. Like my brother had it early on. And I actually fell for it like everybody else. Like I was wearing a mask for the first 2 months, like an idiot. I remember going on a hike in LA with a mask on. Can you believe that? I then turned completely the other way. So that was like March. I remember like almost getting into a bit of an heated argument with an air hostess on a plane in mid-February and saying to them why they're not wearing a mask. Like I was that freak. So I then totally flipped the other way. So it was in March, April. By May, I went totally anti-vax, anti-mask, anti-everything. I got my cable disconnected on my TV, and I refused to watch any more news because I just saw it all as propaganda. And literally from that moment on, like my life completely changed.
What changed it?
I don't know. It was like, I think I was just watching more and more of this propaganda, and it was literally like something went off in my head, like this major red light that just made me start questioning everything. Living in Los Angeles, we had these really bad riots, these BLM riots. I think that was around May. And at that point, I literally saw through everything. I suddenly realized that, hold on, these riots, Antifa is not Trump. This is the other side. This is Biden that wants this. This has nothing to do with him. And I literally like had some sort of epiphany and just like, okay, right, not watching TV. I was getting all my news on Telegram. I started I traveled around America actually, and I went to a couple of conferences where a lot of professors and doctors that had been deplatformed or had lost their licenses. I went to watch them speak, and it changed my life. Like I started meeting a lot of people as well that were on the same wavelength, either through my yoga, because obviously like if you're spiritual, you're going to question more about what you're putting into your body. And the more awake you are mentally, the more you're going to be awake to what they're trying to do to you.
It's just question everything because we're not scientists or doctors. And when it was just a 99.9% survival rate, I'll take my chances.
Yeah, right. We're fit, we're healthy.
Just look after yourself. I think people, and I can understand the fear factor, people were scared they couldn't travel again or they couldn't go and see their loved ones. I understand it. I'm not trying to bring them down or say you made the wrong decision, but I think it's clear now that people did make the wrong decision. I think it's coming out. Look at the amount of cardiac arrests on sportsmen and fit people.
Apparently, I saw this clip someone Tucker Carlson had interviewed recently, and they said 14 million people worldwide is an estimate of how many have died from the vaccine. It's pretty high, isn't it?
Yeah, that's next level stuff, and you don't know the effects. People are saying it changes your genes, your DNA. I don't know. I'll see what the future holds, but it's all the same patterns for
We're going to have a bunch of zombies running around soon.
Possibly. And we've got, listen, you
Zombie
never know.
apocalypse.
Every 100 years, it's always the same patterns. You've got wars, you've got plagues, you've got viruses. It's just the never-ending cycle of...
What is so crazy is that I understand like people that got it in the beginning because there wasn't as much information out. And if you were watching only mainstream media and listening to mainstream radio, you were not getting like the real facts at all. It was, you had to start really kind of like digging for that information. I think another like real eye-opener was when they banned the hashtag natural immunity from Instagram. That actually was banned. Can you believe that? I actually did take screenshots of it because, you know, that people that don't realize that, you tell them now it's not banned. They're like, really? Was it? I'm like, yeah, it was fully banned for at least like a year and a half. Like I was on a shadow ban on my Instagram for like pretty much most of COVID because I tried to warn people. I even fell out with my own family. Like my mother thought I needed to see a psychiatrist because I didn't want the vaccine, you know, and then, you know, it got to the point, and then finally my mother, she sends me this text message. She's like, I'll never get another one again. You were right. And I was like, yeah, I've been telling you that for like 3.5 years. She was in the hairdressers last year, and this woman walked in, like hands like totally shaking, young, you know, 40 years old. She'd been in the hairdressers 3 weeks before, totally fine, you know, running in. And she actually told the hairdressers in there that she'd had a booster shot a few weeks ago. And even her doctor told her that is a reaction from the booster shot. So now my mother will not have one again, which I'm like, I thank God every day that she was in there at that time to actually see that. Because a lot of people, they actually have to witness this stuff with their own eyes. Like, they won't believe you. Like, I would try and warn people and they're like, well, Victoria, you're not a doctor.
Yeah.
My doctor's telling me to get it. And I'm not a doctor.
Which is true, yeah.
I'm not. I don't have it. But you know what? Now my family doctor is admitting to my own family that, oh, yes, he's getting people in vaccine injured. You know,
They don't speak about that, though. No. Every doctor was getting like 40, 50 quid every vaccine they were giving out.
Yeah.
People were getting free vaccines.
But, you know, this is murder. Like during that time, there was a bunch of celebrities that got paid to put out false information. Yeah. And when you looked at the videos of them, there's a famous video, I don't know if I still have it, but it was a Mariah Carey one. And you can see that a syringe, there's no needle going into her arm. You know, these people that were promoting Pfizer, they were being paid millions and millions of dollars. Now, if something like that then turns into a lot of people dying, that is murder. Like, those people should be accountable for that.
But they won't be because they're too powerful.
Yeah.
Too powerful. Too much money. I think Pfizer made over 100 billion.
And now you've got this guy, Travis Kelce, you know, this like sort of fake relationship with Taylor Swift.
He was given 10 million.
Which this is a totally like, this is a really good example of a fabricated relationship in Hollywood. They often do this. They put a power couple together that is basically owned by the powers above. And, you know, it's well known, George Soros bought all of Taylor Swift's rights to all her music. He's one of the people that basically funds the Clintons and other politicians. So this is a man-made relationship. It's not going to freaking last. But I think it will be until the elections are over. Yeah, exactly. He is the Pfizer boy. So, I mean, I don't mean any harm on anyone, but it just, when these people do have sudden heart attacks, it's like, I don't feel bad for them.
Yeah, and it's scary, but this is the way the world operates.
Yeah, there was another American footballer that just, I read about this morning that passed away.
Yeah, and it's sad, but like I say, people are uneducated and it's not their fault. It's not,
no,
and if you're promoting it on all social media, like you say, we're not educated enough, so people are going to go for doctors. More people die with pharmaceutical drugs than anything on the planet.
I know. I mean, I know that the highest deaths, especially in America, is medical malpractice. More than cancer, more than anything. And people trust their doctors. If their doctor says it's safe to take, I was lucky. I had a doctor that was like, don't take it. But at that point, I was already like, I'm not getting that thing near me, you know?
But if people are depressed or suicidal, the doctor just fill them up with Valium. They don't tell them, go in nature, cut out the drink, cut out the cigarettes, cut out junk food, exercise. They're just giving them fucking more shit to make them feel even worse. And it tells you on the box that you can be suicidal. You're already suicidal. You need fucking proper nutrition. You need to exercise. You need to cut off the drink and the drugs. Stop your bullshit. Stop lying to yourself. And if you're still feeling unwell and unstable, then seek help. You need another alternative. But right now, stay true to you. Everybody knows right from wrong. Everybody knows what they're doing is fucked up, but yet we do it because we're living in a glorified world where we think drinking and taking drugs, and I've done it for years. I can only say that now that I'm not doing it, but it causes a big part of depression. Alcohol and drugs, it fucks people up. It's a depressant.
Well, the problem is, you know, especially in America, they prescribe them for, you know, all these opioids. Like a lot of sportsmen actually get addicted because they get an injury playing and then they get addicted to these pills. I have a very good friend and who passed away a couple of years ago, and, you know, to actually like see someone really going through that, you know, I'd never seen someone actually smoking crack. And like, I remember going to his house one time and I'd never actually seen him when he was on a relapse. Like, he always kind of hid it from me. We were friends for like 25 years. And I literally had a dream about him, right? So I sent him a text message. I'm like, you were in my dream last night. Is everything all right? We're like literally in the dream. We were on a roller coaster ride. I text him. He's like, yeah, everything's great. Da, da, da. Come and see my new house. I go over there and he's so skinny. And I'm like, my God, you look, and I said to him, you look like shit. Like, what happened to you? So thin, gaunt, like his legs are like twigs. And he's like, oh, and then there's like two girls that were like assistants in bikinis by the pool. And I'm like, how much are you paying these girls? Like this is like a real situation of like the worst of Hollywood that you can see, like, people just taking advantage. And then he disappears for a second, comes back with this sort of giant bong thing and starts like smoking crack in front of me. I was like, wow, this is bad. I've never seen this and like witness crack or heroin being like, smoked in front of me. It was really sad. We finally got him into rehab about a month or two. Then he was sober for a couple months and then he relapsed and then he died.
Yeah. It fucking grabs your soul, man. It takes you to the brinks of hell.
But you see, that kind of addiction, that starts with pills. And getting pills in America is super easy. I remember when I first moved to LA, I had a root canal filling. And they prescribed me, which one was it? Vicodin. Horrible. I was like, I just moved from here, so I had no idea what Vicodin was. I remember going to then a barbecue that day, and there was an actor there that was like, oh, I'll have them if you don't want them. I was like, and I stupidly gave them to him, and then I found out like he was sort of like, had been addicted to them, so I was like, oh, shit. But for me, it had a really bad reaction. Like, I remember like I couldn't sleep all night. I was just laying there, almost having this weird out-of-body experience and wide awake. It was horrible. So I was like, I would rather have pain and not take drugs like that. And they prescribe these things way too easy to like so many, anyone that has some kind of sort of pain, they're giving them these pills that are so addictive.
But a doctor, they get paid for
I
it.
remember going out to clubs in LA and there was this one girl that I would see out a lot and she would, these people that get so addicted, like, when I was given it actually as a painkiller for my tooth. But this girl, I said to her, because I remember she looked like she was really sweating and stuff. And I was like, are you okay? She'd taken Vicodin and then been drinking alcohol. But she'd done that on purpose. Like that was like what kind of buzz she was trying to get. I was like that. She didn't even like, she looked a mess, It's not attractive to be like slurring and all like fucked up. It's not a good look.
But like you say, people are looking for that escape. You don't know what.
And that's the thing. And that's like you said, doctors just prescribing stuff that doesn't help them. That doesn't heal these people's wounds. It doesn't get to the bottom of the problem. And that's what people need to do, and what doctors really need to. These patients actually, they need to really get to the bottom. I know a lot of people are doing ayahuasca, and Prince Harry's been talking about that, and I've never done ayahuasca, but it seems to be like the last frontier of what people seem to take to when they've tried everything. And, you apparently have this like experience.
I done
have
it.
You done it?
I done it about 4 years ago. But again,
how was it?
It felt like a cult. It felt like another form of an escape. It felt like hocus pocus. I feel as if everybody who done it.
Did you
slipped
throw
back.
up?
No. I went there, they give you a list.
Because they apparently give you a bucket to throw up in and stuff.
And stuff. I couldn't stop laughing. I was a laughing Scotsman.
Did you do it in Scotland with a shaman?
Costa Rica.
Oh, okay.
I made a documentary about it. I'll send you it. But
right.
at the time, I bought into it because I'm searching. I'm on that journey. I'm not drinking. I'm not taking gear. Life is good. I'm doing a podcast. I'm making documentaries.
Yeah.
Could this be the fucking healing of the world? You buy into it. It's the shortcut to happiness. Takes you away from all your fears and demons. I thought, that sounds a bit of me, that. I bought into it. And then I went there. Great experience. Met friends for life. Majority of people have slipped back. I think it's the placebo effect. I think you can, as humans, we all look for guidance.
Right.
No matter what it is. We'll gravitate towards guidance because we're all suffering. We don't really know what's going on, and I done it. Listen, I'm still in a great place, but it felt very culty. I feel as if people are buying into the spiritual side of shit because it's sexy, and now it's becoming more trendy. Everybody's wearing baggy pants and a couple of tattoos, and they think they're fucking spiritual teachers. Doesn't work that way. You've got to really work within. You've got to really open your mind to everything in life, and for me, it's. Listen, I'd probably fucking do it again. That's how fucked up my mind is. But I just enjoyed the escape, and because they kept telling me to surrender, They all kept
Right.
working on me. I had 4 or 5
they
people
kept saying surrender.
in my bed at night. But for me, surrender's quitting. Surrender's fucking waving a
So
little
you
white
have
flag.
surrender in the back
And
of your head is like, I will not surrender.
Yeah, I thought, fuck
and they're
this.
telling me to
I ain't
surrender.
surrendering. So they says that I was fighting against it.
Right.
That's where the laughing came in, because that was my defense mechanism for so long in my life. Laughter. If somebody dies and I go to a funeral, I'm laughing.
Were you like in a big group? Like, did everyone
60 people.
did everyone else have a completely different experience?
Yeah,
or
I was tripping balls, man. They were
so
all,
you were fighting it basically.
I'm a
That's
fighter,
why.
so it's
Yeah.
they were all fucking dancing, all dressed in white. I'm in this single bed tripping balls. I was seeing hell and fire, and they kept like rubbing my heart.
Have you done the toad as well?
I've done everything. I've done fucking
What
DMT
was the toad
years
like?
ago. Yeah, it's okay, man. But again, it's a form of an escape for me.
Yeah.
Everything for me, you can get to higher states through meditation and breathing techniques. For
Exactly.
me, it's
Well, that's
cold, yeah.
so that's Kundalini.
Yeah,
so that's
for me,
breathing
it's,
technique.
For me, it's cold water therapy, a bit of meditation, and that's it. If I've got problems, so fuck, get on with it, James, because the bottom line is nobody cares, son. You just got to deal with it. I have problems every day, but I just know how to handle them. I don't slip back and drink and hide and pretend and blame everybody else. If I'm having a shit day, it's on me. My life is going great. I don't need to moan, but I still want more. I'm still greedy for some reason, and yet I know all this. I understand all these patterns. I know social media is bad for me. I'm still on it. I know this food's bad for me. I'll still eat it. I've still got that fuck it mentality.
Yeah.
Live life. We're not all monks as well. It's got to find a bit of balance. As
Yeah.
long as I'm not dabbling on drinking drugs,
Yeah.
I'm winning. And everything else. Listen, like I say, I've tried all these things, but a lot of people do this shit and do it every other month. They're doing it every other fucking year. Like, you're still running then. It's not really working if you have to go back and listen to all these fucking dimensions and spiritual gods and all. It's trippy shit. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, but for me, natural things in life. Fucking take your shoes off, walk in the grass for 10 minutes.
I know.
You'll feel a
That's
difference.
so good for us.
Yeah, grounding.
Earthing, grounding, yeah. So good for
And it
us.
sounds all hippyish and hocus pocus, but everything grown from the earth is what we should be consuming. The fresh water, fresh lakes. But again, is anything fresh anymore? So again, I thought about fucking off into
Well,
the
I'm
wilderness.
sure the lakes in Scotland and where you live are
But then they're saying all the
not
fish is fucking
contaminated.
poisoned and salmon's all bad for you now. No matter.
Well, no, not all salmon. Obviously, like depends on the salmon farm,
Yeah.
because it's just like the cattle and every other animal that gets pumped full of things to make it bigger and grow faster.
Full of water as well, chemicals. So the dark stuff, all the people you kind of come into your life for, you probably in that party lifestyle. How do you say, is it Ghislaine Maxwell or Ghislaine? How do you say her name?
Ghislaine.
How, because the relationship was 20 years, how did that come about?
So we met probably around, well, we met actually through that boyfriend I had when I was 19. So, oh gosh, got to calculate how old am I? But that would have been like mid 90s,
How was she then?
like normal person, So I had friends that went to uni with her. They went to Oxford with her. And so obviously like her age gap, she's kind of around the same age as my boyfriend at the time. So a lot of his friends, like, yeah, they'd known her since uni.
And she was okay, sound.
Yeah.
And when did Prince Andrew come into the picture?
I met him totally separately, not through Ghislaine, but obviously like the social circle in England, well, in London particularly, is very small. I met him probably like around the same time, like late 90s.
What was he like?
Yeah, seemed like a decent guy. Very sort of direct and good sense of humor. We were on a sort of, not a blind date, but sort of like a double date type of thing. A family friend, Anushka Hempel, she started Blake's Hotel, which was such a fab hotel. And so it was her and her husband, and they invited Andrew and I.
Did they have security when these guys go on dates?
I don't know. They're kind of hidden.
Are they?
I think they're sort of, hidden so you don't see them.
So see, when you're in that lifestyle, do you think, because like you say, she's probably started out an innocent girl, do you think part of them get groomed to then being who they end up becoming? Or do you think they've always got it in them? like for the sex trafficking and bringing young girls and stuff?
Well, as far as sex trafficking, a lot of it's bullshit. Like, I mean, I know a lot of viewers will be very upset to hear that there's no like underground tunnels under the church on the island, and was it a temple? But I don't think it was. Do you call it like what stage do we call grooming, right? So when I met her, it seemed like she was very in love with Jeffrey. Like they seemed like a genuinely good couple. And, what seemed to have happened is she brought in these girls for massages for Jeffrey. And then those girls wanted to be her. They wanted her lifestyle. I even have it in text messages that Maria Farmer wrote. They wanted her out of the way, and they were super jealous of her being English and posh and having this sort of family history as well. A lot of these girls yearn for that. They're all kind of from broken homes, not good families. They haven't really lived a very great life at this point before meeting him. And suddenly he opens up this whole new world, and they see Ghislaine as a threat and they want her gone. I believe that, yes, he definitely had a bit of an addiction to women. I don't think he's, I don't think he's completely innocent at all. But I don't think that any of those things that happened with any girls, none of it was forced. Like the girls could come and go as they wanted from his house.
Yeah, but it's a different story of birds coming to your house and having parties, and if everything's a free-for-all. Nobody's asked having sex parties or whatever it is in your private time, but it's the underage girls. That's when it becomes a problem.
So for underage girls, I never saw girls that were underage, and I've always said this in every interview, that I never noticed girls there was no girls younger than me. And when I met him, I would have been at least 19, 20. So I didn't see that. But, I wasn't there all the time.
You see, I can only judge from what I see on the TV and what I read on the media, and we can't always trust them a million %. But when you see,
that's the thing, because of the way of the media manipulation during the COVID years, I don't believe anything anymore, and it just that whole thing made me question everything now. And whenever I read a story in the news it's so being put out there by mainstream news, a lot of the stuff I found out, is usually the opposite of what the mainstream narrative. Like, who is behind that narrative and who is making money because of that? That's what we always have to ask.
But what about the young girls who says they were 14 and he was touching them up?
Which one was 14?
I don't know. I watched the documentary. One of the girls says she was only 14 when she was there.
Yeah, send it to me. I know there was one, because she was the younger sister. I think Annie Farmer is one of the main ones. But, Maria Farmer's a complete freaking liar. I mean, so my main witness, who is on a gag order right now, I mean, we started putting out text messages and emails that between those two. And she obviously was rather upset by that, because the first text message I put out of hers was how she loved Jeffrey. I was like, busted, girl. So she's probably made 200 videos of me, which, she dedicates a lot of her time. It's kind of cooled off the last few months, thank goodness, but it got pretty heated at a moment. But George has been put on a gag order because she knew he was on probation. And so she basically said, she filed two police, what are they called? 2 police reports on him, saying that he's harassing her. No, he's not harassing her. He hadn't communicated with her for months before. So yeah, I'm hoping that, look, I just want my life back. I just really want the truth to come out about this and the right people to be behind bars. As far as Ghislaine, I don't think she is as guilty as what the media has made her out to be.
How so?
Well, I just don't. I mean, so why is she behind bars? Like she's got more time in jail right now than murderers, like people that have actually like killed people.
Do you think she could die?
I think every day is a struggle for her in there.
Has she opened her mouth yet and gave names?
I don't think that she has been giving names of any kind. I think, you know, the fact that she even did that interview last year, that was pretty major. Like, I thought that's never going to happen. She's never going to speak out. And then when she said, oh, yeah, there's at least 50 things wrong with that photo, I was like, oh my God, thank you, because I'm the only one that has been vocal about this. And suddenly, like, she backed it up right there.
So you're talking about the photo with Prince Andrew.
The famous photo.
Maxwell at the
Can
back.
we get a close-up of that on the screen right now?
And so you're saying that photo is doctored, you're saying, because...
Yeah, so I really want now the guy that did, you know, the detective work on the Kate Middleton photo. I would like him to please look at that photo and see what's wrong with it, because there is like the Kate Middleton one, to me, I didn't see it. The things didn't pop out like this one does. But with this one, when you start looking at it, there's a mark around the head. So the guy that actually took the pictures, I've actually been in contact with him for a while. I believe he is the guy. I've had officers meet him, question him. Like, I've been working on this for 2 years now. So we will be bringing him into the public view as soon as I can have George Tonks speak. So it'll be in the next couple of months. But this guy actually explains, he's actually made videos for me of how he swapped the heads out.
But surely professionals would be able to see that it's been swapped in, because the girl in the Netflix documentary, who was the girl that got the 12 million?
There's no 12 million. So even just an
What was her name?
Virginia Guthrie.
Virginia Guthrie.
So just oh my God, I got a bit closer. So just so you know, even the Duchess of York doesn't know what the amount is. So how Piers Morgan and all these other people are touting this number, like, she doesn't even know. She isn't even privy to know how much the number is. So we don't know how much the number is, but it's not that much. I think it's more like a third of that or quarter of that.
Because she says the photo was done by a professional, and they can
Of course
say
she's saying that.
Yeah,
It's changed her life. She was living in a freaking garden shed before this.
So what was Epstein like?
What was he like? Not that exciting, really. I think, you know, like I've said before, Ghislaine was like the fun one in that like relationship. And he's just more work. I think he liked just hanging out more with sort of geeky kind of scientists rather than like fun people.
Were you ever on Epstein Island?
No, I was not invited. So no, I was not on Epstein Island.
Is that special? People who get invited, like the Clintons, people, because there must be people, because it's like people who met Jimmy Savile. You wouldn't know he was a fucking... People would have just seen him in a public... You've got a photo with him. And I'm not saying everybody on Epstein Island are all the same. So you've got to understand, if someone invites you to an island, private plane, you're thinking, that sounds interesting. But if you go back multiple times, there's got to be question marks then. Well,
the thing is, it's very easy for everyone to question this stuff now. But when you're living it at that moment, no one had anything bad. No one knew anything bad about Jeffrey Epstein. He was just like the fun guy with an island and planes and all the toys, you know, and nice invitations. Like, we didn't know anything back then. Like, it's very easy for like the public to go, oh my God, why was she doing this? No, it was all kind of like normal back then. You wouldn't have any suspicions that anything was like out of the ordinary.
Was Maxwell and Epstein swingers?
That I don't know. I really don't know, but I'm guessing so.
Because he was charged because he was a maths teacher.
Right.
Where he got his money from, people still don't know, because he was a maths teacher. I think he was kind of kicked out because there was rumours that he got his money.
He got his money. So someone I know who was very close to him and knew him since he lived in a one bedroom, and he basically said to me recently, a few months ago, and he was friends with Jeffrey throughout, you know, his life really. Since he was working as a professor, was working as a school
maths
teacher. Maths teacher. Okay, so not really even a professor. But he said, he asked Jeffrey one day, he's like, how do you make all your money? And Jeffrey's response to that was like, he said, well, I'm the guy that recovers the money from people that cannot go to the police. And he was like, So basically, like, what it is that, it's known that Jeffrey, he helped a lot of these billionaires create these sort of charitable trusts. So it was a sort of, it was some kind of tax break. So they weren't paying taxes. So they would pay him in assets instead. Hence, they give him houses or different things. But I think like the code decipher from that message that Jeffrey said was, so just say someone who's a billionaire, they might be making money illegally, drug money or something, and someone's just run off with 500 million of their money. They can't go to the police. They go to Jeffrey. I don't know how Jeffrey recovers it. My take on that is Jeffrey was definitely with the CIA at some point. Like, I've had friends in intelligence like say that to me. I think he was CIA. CIA are known to doing a lot of shady shit. And I think it got to a point where maybe he wanted to leave. And then they were like, oh, no, you're not leaving. We're just going to set you up.
But obviously was charged as well a few years back of, what was he charged with? Sexual assault or underage girl?
And I don't know the full story about that girl because...
And that's what doesn't make sense, because if he's charged with that, and then you've got Prince Andrew going, it doesn't look good for any of them. You've got to admit, it doesn't look good.
But the problem is, you see, the original thing, that was not a big story. Like, when that came out, that was half a page, maybe in the middle of a newspaper. No one gave a shit who Jeffrey Epstein was back then. He was not getting front pages. There was not... I mean, I remember vaguely seeing it because I remember thinking, oh, wow, I haven't like seen him in, quite a few years. I wonder what that story is about, but didn't really think more of it, and people don't remember that. Like, they're like, oh my God, Jeffrey Epstein. No, it was a very small story back then. It was not front page news.
Was there any whisper back then of trafficking, kids being raped and killed? Or
this word,
conspiracy?
The word trafficking is way too conspiracy for me. And, I'm a top conspiracy theorist, and I literally get people... I was in Barbados at Christmas. I got people stopping me on the beach going, oh my God, I love your Instagram. All your conspiracies come true. So yeah, I've had people literally that, they were so against the things I said. And then they were like, yep, you were right on that, and that. Thank you so much. Waiting for my medal. But the word trafficking is such a strong word. And I've said that in all my interviews as well. I said, when I think of trafficking, like, I have friends that actually have charities helping trafficked victims, which these are girls that are actually like kidnapped from their homes as children or kidnapped in a park and sold into trafficking in a brothel where they are raped all day long. And after that, when they're no use, they are sold for organs. That's trafficking. Trafficking, girls drinking champagne on the back of a yacht in Saint-Tropez ain't trafficking.
Do you think a lot of these girls then are basically prostitutes?
They are prostitutes. So these girls, they're prostitutes, hookers, escorts, whatever you want to call them.
See, I don't give a fuck if they're agreeing to it, but it's the underage ones.
No,
I don't agree with that shit.
No,
but that's next level paedophilia.
Yeah, I don't know about the girls that did not agree to it, but I've investigated the ones that clearly knew what they were doing. And Sarah Ransom, as an example, like, I actually found her original pictures from her escort agency. So she actually got caught up in a whole nother scandal, which is the Pritzker scandal that was like a couple of years before, but her name was hidden. But anyway, yeah, these girls are hookers, man. Like, look at the pictures of them coming out of the water at the island. There's a picture of Sarah Ransom. She looks like a Bond girl. Like, this is not a girl that has been like chained up and raped all day.
Why were you never invited to the island?
I have no idea. I actually,
Would you have went?
I pretty much always had a boyfriend back then, so I wasn't really like
Could have been your saving
single.
grace, though.
Yeah, I wasn't really single, but I don't believe like really bad stuff was going on. I mean,
But you were never there, so you can't really.
look, I wasn't there, but I feel like, this is a rich dude with an island inviting, yes, pretty girls. I don't think they were forced into anything. But I remember when I was younger, and this actually was a friend of mine, and he was a real playboy. He met this girl in like a nightclub. I think it was China White back then. Maybe her and some friends. Flew them to Monaco Grand Prix, had them on his yacht. When they wouldn't sleep with him, he threw them off the boat. Like, this is what happens in that kind of level. It's like, it's pretty fucked up.
Yeah, but if you're partying, guys are wanting
And
girls.
you know what he did? So then even worse, like not just like threw them off the boat, but actually then left them on the boat and went to a party and then threw them off. I was like, that is like really mean. Like, that's really mean. But then, you don't go and stay with someone. You don't go to an island if you don't think that you're going to have to do something, maybe.
See, for me, I'm against them because I'm a father. But again, I don't know all
but
the answers,
as a woman,
somebody told me about the Clintons as well. He was just a fucking old pervert as well.
Well, apparently, like, the only reason Bill was there all the time was, like, he was just escaping Hillary and he was having an affair with Ghislaine, apparently. So that's why he was there. Hillary's into women, apparently, as well. So they say. Because I don't know if he's into young girls, but he was definitely having an affair with Ghislaine, for sure.
What about Prince Andrew? Because they call him Randy Andy. Again, listen, he's never been charged or anything. There's never any proof. Is he just a big kind of, not a big daft guy, but is he just a guy who like to party as well and just...
He doesn't party. This is the crazy thing. He doesn't even drink. He's never even had a drink. I think he might have had one drink when he was like 11 or 12 and he picked up a glass that had alcohol in it, thinking it was water, and gulped it and just like had the worst experience, never touched a drink again. So this is why this story is so crazy, because this is not a party guy. Like, yeah, he's social and, he was like the favorite, right? The favorite to the Queen, kind of not as nerdy as Charles, sort of more fun, had the military career. So naturally, like, he was popular with the women. Like, he didn't need to have Virginia Guthrie like paid. Number one, like what I said before, that picture. So he's never carried a wallet in his life. And the Duchess of York can vouch for that. Like, she actually said to me, he's never, she's known him her whole life. He's never had a wallet. Like, clearly in that photo in Kinnerton Street, there's something in his back pocket. He doesn't fucking even carry a wallet. He doesn't drink alcohol. So like the beginning of Virginia's statement is like, oh, we were in Tramp and like he got me a cocktail and we drank. Anyone that knows him, and this is where the press really, this thing could have been stopped so early on. Like, the press are invited to Buckingham Palace. Like, they all know that Prince Andrew doesn't freaking drink. You know that every newspaper archive was trying to find those pictures of Prince Andrew coming out of Tramps that night. There's no photo. He wasn't there. Like, it's a lie. There's no way in 2001 anyone could be coming out of a nightclub that is as popular as Tramp nightclub on a Friday or Saturday night without a million paparazzi. I mean, I lived it. I was out all the time and I had maybe 10 paparazzi like wrapped around my taxi when I'd be out. It's impossible. Didn't happen.
Because that girl was obviously saying she was trafficked. And trafficked her.
This word trafficked is like, it's a new word that started being used by the lawyers involved in this whole scam of getting money from the Epstein estate. Bradley Edwards started using it and David Bowie started using it because it just makes it all sound so much worse. Trafficking. Even people that I know, like, who really have been through abuse and stuff, they just send me emojis of crying, laughing faces. Like, what are these girls going on about? Trafficking. Bullshit.
So she's 17 and he apparently slept with her then in that
Didn't
house.
happen. He's never met her. He's never met
But
her.
why did the thing is his
Yeah.
interview on the TV fucked
Yeah.
him.
Yeah,
That
it
made him
did.
look like a fucking idiot.
It
Let's be
did,
honest.
and now they've made a TV show out of it,
That
and
comes out soon. Scoop.
I actually had a meeting with someone from Netflix last week, and I'm just like, yeah, wait till you see what we've freaking got coming out soon. You guys are going to feel like idiots. Like, yeah, I mean, these people have now made a career out of it.
Why was he allowed to do
And
that
so
interview,
so
though?
basically, so that interview happened. The Duchess of York was in Saudi. She tried to stop it. He's stubborn. He's his own man. He saw it as this was going to completely clear him of everything. I mean, I know this isn't really public or anything, but I don't know. I think maybe he's on the spectrum, because he's one of those people that can't lie. I think it comes across sometimes that he might be rude, because, there's been articles that staff that have worked there have said, oh, he's rude to us, whatever. I think it's just like, that is just the way he is. And he's just super direct. Like, he's the kind of personality that is just not even capable of lying. So when he's asked, do you regret your friendship with Jeffrey Epstein? He doesn't say, no, I don't. He's very honest. He's like, well, do you remember what he said? He's like, I don't regret it. It brought me some good business dealings, or whatever it said. But, a normal person would have gone, yes, I very much regret it. And, He was just super direct, can't lie. And I don't think it is, there's no way someone like him would have done an interview like that if they weren't innocent. There's just no way. Just knowing the personality that we are dealing with, which is a military style, cannot lie type of person.
I don't know if you've done him.
But the problem is, if you rewatch that interview, knowing he's innocent, you have a completely different experience.
But nobody thinks he's innocent. Could you be naive to it all?
No, I mean, I know what evidence I have, which we can release in a few months. Virginia, basically, yeah, she's admitted that nothing ever happened with him.
See, that's fucked up. Let's imagine, for talk's sake, everything you're saying is correct. Then that
Do you
changes
think I'm
everything
going to have a
again.
lot of people
No,
apologizing
listen,
to me?
You would need that, because what
Yeah.
you're saying is a bit heavy, that I've never seen anybody stick up for any of them,
Yeah.
anyone. So it's a lot of pressure. But if you're wrong,
Yeah. Well, it's a
What
lot
do-
of pressure if I'm
but if
wrong.
you're wrong-
I wouldn't be saying any of this stuff if I would not. Like, why would I have been putting myself on the line if I didn't have concrete proof that this guy is innocent? Like, for me to go against the Me Too movement in the beginning, now it's fine. Like, I literally, I get DMs all the time, like, from people who are DV survivors, domestic violence. And they're like, yeah, those girls are liars. Like, they have ruined it for us, because, people that really are going through a rough time, and they look at these girls milking millions of dollars from people, and they're just parading around doing little interviews. Like, people that have really gone through stuff like that, they're not parading around with their little stilettos and doing interviews and looking like, no, it's
because
not.
what I got from the interview, like you see, is either on the spectrum,
but
or I think
Yeah.
he maybe just thinks people are so dumbed down that we're the peasants and they can speak their way out of shit. So there's a bit of both, but it just seems so fucking strange.
Yeah.
Even the girls who produced it, they're thinking, somebody's going to sign this off and tell us not to put it out. He never had a lawyer with him. He had his daughter with him.
No, there was someone from Buckingham Palace sitting in that interview.
But they gave it the green light and
Oh, of
says,
course they did.
and it
No,
says
no.
it was amazing.
Buckingham Palace. Well, because if you go into that interview and watch it knowing he's innocent, totally different experience. Like, I rewatched it knowing what I know, and I'm like, actually, it's really not that bad. But you have Mateless, Barrister. It's the tone of it. It's like even the color, the lighting. Like, you can change a lot by that, by just the environment. The way it's shot. Straight away, it's like, this guy's not innocent the way it's filmed.
But it was the no sweating. It was in Pizza Express.
But he really can't sweat. Like, apparently that's like true.
But you understand,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
there's a photo of him as
Yeah.
well with his shirt on, dripping in sweat.
Well, where?
So it
Show
doesn't
that to
look-
me,
it's-
because
it's a yellow
it's not
shirt in a
true.
nightclub.
Yeah, I don't
I'll
think
show
so.
you. Yeah, I'll
because
show you.
there was one that was circulating that I found the original, and then people online were like adding sweat to it, and then it was
Maybe
going
so.
online.
Listen, I could be wrong.
Yeah.
But I'm only judging from, listen.
You're judging from what you
Yeah,
see.
of course.
Yeah.
And listen, that's why you're here. I'm open-minded to everything because I
Yeah,
understand.
but I found actually this one photo, and it was going around like, online on whichever like social media. And then I found the original, which was the no sweat version. And it's like, oh, fuck, like now people are actually like adding that to make it look bad for him. But I understand, yeah, Pizza Express. Apparently, those parents who were the parents that day didn't want to get involved. That's a problem. Like a lot of people just ran away from this story because it had such a mark to it, being associated with Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell, that everyone just ran away. Like no one wanted to deal.
But the Epstein connection, nobody would have ever knew that existed if there wasn't a photo in Central Park. Nobody would have knew.
No, probably no.
Yeah, there's nothing, no evidence to say they were ever with each other.
I mean, that was a
makes
setup
them look
for
bad.
sure.
That makes them look bad. That makes me also question, because obviously Jeffrey Epstein, they says had cameras in every room. From my mind, I think was he got something on Prince Andrew. For him to be there with a convicted paedophile and spend days with him, you're thinking, well, wait a minute, are you one also? And you've got to understand that's the normal mindset. And I'm not daft, I would question it. But
yeah, I think
this any justice there.
I think that photographer, that was definite fucking stitch up. Like Epstein definitely like coordinated that somehow to get those pictures. I think it was like basically a blackmail of the royal family. Look, if Jeffrey Epstein planned to get those pictures made of Kinnerton Street, and because he was in on this whole conspiracy, right? He was planning to take down the royal family. And this is like a very serious thing. I feel like the royal family right now is under attack right now with everything that has been going on. Like, so many of them are like suddenly dropping down with cancer all at the same time. Like, what do you think about that?
They seem to be at their weakest, especially with the Queen dying, especially with the Prince Andrew stuff, especially with Prince Harry leaving.
Yeah.
They don't seem to be. Listen, the royal family's always going to be a force. No doubt they'll manage to get through what they're going through, but this seems to be the most difficult time for the royal family.
And I just think, for the Queen, people say this to me sometimes. They're like, Victoria, why are you doing this? Why are you trying to help him so much? And yes, of course I want to help him, having known him a long time, but I'm doing this for my country. Like, I'm doing this for the Queen. Like, the Queen died never knowing that her son was cleared of, these allegations. And it just makes me really sad.
But again, the outer court settlement doesn't look good either.
Well, you know what? So in America, civil cases, that they happen every day. You'd be surprised how many guys have to pay these girls off all the time. Virginia and Maria have had other ones which we haven't seen come into the public domain, but it happens a lot. People like David Boies are specialists in this. They literally have a stable of girls that they just pull out for different lawsuits and like, oh, right, okay, you're going to go sue that person. And they do these out of court things. Civil cases I don't think are as big in England, but US, it's very popular. I noticed like in LA, the last few years especially, because it's such a litigious state, California, that, when you entered like just say it was a big house party of like a billionaire or someone very wealthy, like you have to sign something going in that you're not going to sue them because, you have not even something that is a sexual assault but you have someone say, oh, they slipped on your ground and you're going to sue them, $1 million or whatever. So, it's Americans, like they love to sue for anything.
But like you say, it's when mud sticks, and it wasn't just one thing, you kind of go, okay, it was the meeting the Epstein for days, it was the paying the girl off, it was all the photos.
We don't know how
I know,
many
but
days.
that's all the stuff, that's all the information.
And then he's going out for his meetings, right?
And people always questioned the royal family anyway. They always questioned that there was corruption underground tunnels and all the conspiracy theories. People believe
although I gotta say, Getty Museum, I'm very curious to know if there's tunnels under that. It's been a rumor about that for years.
But why are you putting everything on the line? Because you're very outspoken for them, and you seem to be. Is there anybody else on your side doing the same?
No, I'm the only one.
Do you become a target?
A target by from who?
I don't know. People, the powerful men out there. You know how it operates. Look at Epstein. Fuck Camp Tim. How did he commit suicide in a 24-hour watch cell?
Yeah, no, he definitely did not commit suicide.
What do you think happened to Epstein?
The same as what I've been saying for a while. So I actually posted I put the pictures, the pictures of like the dead body when he died. It was, they were online. You had to kind of dig for them. But so when I put those up online, I had a couple of people reach out to me on DM Instagram, and people that are actually experienced with like working with dead bodies. And straight away, the first girl said to me, she's like, he did not die hanging. If you have the liver spots like on your back, like the way he has, that is, you died lying down. There's no way you get those marks on your back from hanging. So that I started like really questioning it after that. I was like, wow. And then I started researching, well, if you're hanging, would your legs be swollen, your ankles would be swollen, and your body would be swollen basically. Now, when you saw that dead corpse of Jeffrey Epstein's, very slim ankles, very slim legs, that guy did not die hanging. The other thing, which is like really obvious, is that they say he hung himself with a piece of bedsheet, which the piece of bedsheet had no blood on at all. When you see his neck, he's had almost like a wire put into his neck, where you can see like the blood and the flesh. So like that's a complete lie. The woman who was in charge of that investigation, it was interesting to see that she retired recently. But yeah, this was a complete fraudulent. He was definitely murdered.
What sort of information did he have then?
I don't know.
They must have had some serious shit for that to happen.
Yeah.
But that's not.
Well, that's the interesting thing. I did see that interview that his brother did, and that's the thing. Like, I wonder, like, who killed him? Like, there's so many people that could have been after him, right? And especially if the things that he was doing, like these illegal operations that he was doing with, I'm pretty sure there's like a drug connection that hasn't been unsealed yet by the media, but he was definitely like doing some deals with drug dealers, like high level.
Yeah, drug lords.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's a lot of people that would have wanted him dead.
Yeah, because of the information he had.
Well, the other drug running story I heard was that is like also one of the reasons why he was friends with a lot of like politicians and stuff, because he needed people flying with him that had diplomatic passports so the airplanes were not searched.
Yeah, but it's kind of all crazy. And like you say, listen, I respect you for coming on and backing those people. For me, obviously, I think Epstein's a wrong one, if I'm honest. I think he's Prince Andrew, I don't know. But it doesn't look good with all the information that I had. It just does not look good for him. Was he just an old guy? Not old, but liked to party and liked his women. None were underage. He could have been sleeping.
Partying with a glass of water. Do you know what I mean?
Like I say, I was never there. I don't know.
Yeah.
But for all the information, you kind of think, nah, his mannerisms, you think, nah, there's something off. Doesn't look right. But the Jimmy Savile thing involved with the royal family.
What's that got to do with it?
No, but again, it's just when these guys are involved with the family and with Prince.
But you see, like we all know Jimmy Savile, like we all know about him now, but would we have known what year was that happening in? Was that like in the 80s?
80s, 90s, until he died.
But in the 80s, we didn't have the media that we have now. Like now with like social media, we can find out anything. We didn't even have Google back then. Like,
but it must have been vetted. He's got to have been vetted because he had question marks when he was a DJ. I think Johnny Rotten exposed him, and this was 20, 30 years ago. So it makes people question it. Well, he's one of the biggest sex cases to never be charged.
Right.
And listen, there's people saying he's never been charged.
Like that guy should have freaking gone down properly. I mean, the stories that I heard about Jimmy Savile is just Absolutely. Didn't he like rape girls in like hospitals?
Dead
like,
bodies, and he owned like 3 hospitals.
Dead bodies, but like mentally sort of challenged young girls that couldn't speak out. And
There's a girl who drew a photo
scream.
of him. So this
maybe they were like they couldn't speak.
But this
I
is
mean,
the
that
thing.
is like super
that's
sick.
But this is the thing. When you see him with photos of all these royalties, it just makes you question all these people in power have so much money to do not enjoy the money anymore, but they need to do some sick shit. Now you can go down to the adrenochrome look. You can I don't know.
Yeah,
Listen, it's all hokey,
I think that's full on QAnon stuff. I mean, I feel like some of that definitely happens in Hollywood, though, for sure. I don't know if it's like Mel Gibson that spoke out about that, but yeah, you mentioned that.
But it does raise eyebrows because we're all intrigued. A lot of people live an average life of working 9 to 5 and going home and watching EastEnders.
Right.
So when people are speaking about this, you're thinking, you're thinking, wow, like I say, I don't know. But you start speaking to enough people, eventually it sinks in. You think, well, wait a minute, the earth is run by fucking.
But the problem is the problem is this psyop of the QAnon stuff, which is a complete freaking psyop. Like that has literally taken over a lot of people's minds. Like I believe a lot of conspiracies, but that stuff literally, like, I have a friend of mine, like, he barely leaves the house anymore. He's, he thinks he's saving the planet and he's part of this Q mission, and like he's gone, he thinks that JFK's alive, he thinks Diana's alive.
Yeah, that's too much for me.
Yeah. Some of them, like, they literally believe that like all these people are going to come back alive, and like I'm like, there's some things which we can question about. Is Michelle Obama a man or a woman? Like, that's a good one, because I don't know. What do you think about that?
But again, we don't know everything. You see the photos, but again, we see the Prince Andrew photos doctored.
Yeah.
You're saying, so how do you know they're not doctored? Again, it's who gives a fuck if she's a man? Really? Who cares? The world's round or flat again. Only thing it concerns me, I don't give a fuck. It doesn't stop my life if it's round or flat, but I just question, what's the lie for? Why the big lie about it? Why the big tale? Why is it? Because we only get taught from textbooks. We're programmed for a very young age. Believe this, believe this, believe this, believe this. When you step back and question it, he's crazy. She's crazy. It's the ones who are fucking crazy who make the changes.
I know.
But you've genuinely got to stay open-minded.
And you see, this is the thing. Like, just say one of these Epstein girls, Maria Farmer, like, the kind of art that she paints is really sick. It's like super perverted, of like young naked children and stuff. I don't know if you're familiar with her art, but it's really like kind of really creepy and gross. And George, the whistleblower guy, he said to me, he's like, yeah, it's almost like they all act out like their sort of creepy, weird fantasies with like kids and stuff. So yeah.
Because you were in a room with Trump, Clinton, Epstein, Prince Andrew.
Trump and Clinton were good friends. Like, people forget that those two were really good friends for a while, actually. Trump at the time was a Democrat, and so that's how he managed to get a lot of their secrets, really, and then basically got all their secrets and then turned Republican. Went, fuck you guys, I'm going to like spill the beans. But yeah, I love Trump. I just really hope for America that he's going to win and come back.
Do you think it matters who's in charge? Do you think it's the people behind them who pull the strings? Obviously, you get companies now like BlackRock, the Bilderbergs, or who else you got? All these rich families who have just...
Well, George Soros is a lot of power.
Soros, you've got... who's that?
Rothschild, Gettys.
The Rothschilds. But again, people say there's now people bigger than them. How the fuck can we trust anybody? Who really matters? If it's left wing, right wing, who cares? Who's prime minister, president? What really changes?
Well, this is what I said. So, like, when I was living in America, I wasn't like Republican or Democrat. I just was voting for the right person, and I thought could change the country in a better way. Like, if you look at just say the deep state, right? The deep state is not a party. The deep state can be Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter. Like Obama, Clinton, and Bush, they're on the same team.
But it's all people arguing and fighting. Go live your life. No matter who's in charge, live your fucking life. For me, people need to learn how to grow their own fruit and veg. How the world can be shut down in a heartbeat, and people don't know how to fucking grow a potato. People would die If all the supermarkets shut down,
you would die right now if I told you what I've been up to.
tell me.
So I've actually been, I'm newly in the fruit and veg business right now, actually. So I've been in fashion my whole life, but I had an opportunity come to me last year, and a friend of mine, he calls me up, he's from Texas, and he goes, "Hey Vix, I've got something for you." So he's like direct with 150, 200 farms in Costa Rica, Mexico, all over South America, Africa, different regions in Africa. And so we're now working together. And I literally was on a Zoom call till 1 a.m. talking fruit and veg last night. But yeah, I agree with you. I think, especially after the last few years, the COVID years, I think this taught a lot of us that we need to be able to survive on our own. Like we need a water source. We need to be able to grow our own food, because suddenly, like the fact that, when we went to the supermarket and suddenly there's nothing on the shelves, like what are we going to do? Like, who's going to feed us?
Stock up toilet paper.
So I do. I actually have like a lot.
That was the craziest thing
paper.
I'd ever seen in my life. People running out of toilet paper, and that's the first thing they buy.
Yeah.
Not buying fucking pastas or tinned food to keep their supply going. They're buying toilet paper.
Yeah.
And that's how dumbed down people can be. The world
I know.
does. And the thing about the UK, people are quite
freak
smart.
out, right?
We're quite smart here, though. We are on it compared to most. We are quite. We're quite sane. Like if people speaking, we kind of know something not quite right. Same as the Andrew interview. That's the characteristics that just seem off to the average person. But again, he's not an average person raised up in that royal family. And it's not that I'm sticking up for him, but I'm trying to look at all kind of fields. But what do you actually think the whole thing is? Why do you think Epstein's dead? Why do you think Andrew done an interview? Why do you think
I think Epstein was working for the CIA, and the CIA are trying to dismantle the British monarchy. I think that he set Andrew up. Andrew was the easy target, and he faked the photo with Virginia, and he was doing a lot of illegal dealings, drugs, arms, all kinds of stuff. And I don't know who killed him, but he was definitely killed. I think Ghislaine, as the scapegoat, didn't really know what she was doing or what was going on, and the girls were all in love with Jeffrey Epstein. So yeah, I mean, I don't think Jeffrey was he definitely was not innocent at all, but I don't think Ghislaine deserves to be where she is right now.
When was the last time you spoke to Glenn?
It's been a couple of years.
Did you hear from her when the shit hit the fan?
No. I have one of her lawyers' info that I can communicate through.
What do you think of people getting cloned in that? Do you think that's a bit far-fetched?
Cloning?
Yeah.
Is this related to, not related to Epstein?
People say Epstein might be alive, or people say like the P. Diddy
is
stuff.
Epstein alive? No.
People are saying that the bodies change and people change, and it's...
Yeah, so that was really weird, right? Like when we saw the pictures of Jeffrey's head, I think it was, when he died, and like the ear looked different, but apparently like when we die, different parts of our body, like it changes shape, because like his nose looked different and the ear looked different. So I don't know. I mean, I don't think he is alive, guys. I really think, I don't think he's hanging out on an island right now with Tupac and Princess Di. I don't think that's happening.
That is crazy. Well, people do go down that route.
But people go down media rabbit holes, and like my friend that thinks JFK is still alive, and guys, come on, like there's real and there's real.
Yeah. But it is a very dark world we live in. There is a lot of fucking...
It is. And, as far as why I get defensive on the word trafficking, right? So as an example of real trafficking, not girls on yachts in Saint-Tropez, a friend of mine, he does like a lot of contracting, government contract kind of work. He's sort of like a real version of James Bond. And he goes to places like Thailand and rescues little children from these things called red rooms. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, because we used to have a red rooms in London, apparently.
No. So this is a thing, right, in Thailand where different people will buy a spot in a red room with crypto, so they can't be traced. A red room in Thailand is a room where a child is murdered every 3 weeks. They are sacrificed. And the person that pays with the crypto gets to choose how that kid is murdered. And the other person gets to do things to them. Now, that is trafficking. That is murder, rape, trafficking. Girls lying on a boat in Saint-Tropez with a glass of champagne and being able to go back to a villa when they want. That is not trafficking.
So do you think when a lot of the heat gets put on these guys, they'll come forward for money? Is that what you're saying?
I think with everything, it's money. Everything is money driven in this sort of situation. I think witnesses, they see the dollar signs and they come forward. You know, it happened with actually another interesting thing that I got to do when I lived in LA. I actually sat in the courtroom in Harvey Weinstein's trial. And I'd never sat in a courtroom in my life. Like, that was a first for me. I went with an independent journalist friend of mine who had sat through Ghislaine's trial. And she's like, come, like, today's going to be exciting. It's Jennifer Newsom being cross-examined, who's Gavin Newsom's wife, and, you know, the governor of California. So this is pretty hot ticket. And we get into the courtroom. We've got to put our mobile phone in this sort of little pouch thing that locks as soon as you press it. And, you know, I watched that girl being caught out lying. And I'm like, now look, Harvey Weinstein was quite, he had, you know, he was known as fairly prolific in, you didn't go to his room if you weren't going to hook up with him. You just knew that. Like, you knew that. I knew that 20-something years ago. Don't go there, right? The girls that did go there, they knew what they were signing up for. And that is like, I sat in that courtroom. This girl got busted, basically. They put up all these emails that she'd written to him. Now, if someone has supposedly raped you, would you normally like message them like a week later and go, when can I see you? I'm going to be in New York for one night. Let's meet up. Does that sound like someone that's just been raped and traumatized? No, like this girl wanted him to give her a career, and she was like sending him scripts and inviting him out. And so I looked at this man who was like the shell of what he used to be. Very thin face, very pale. And yeah, it was like when you read stuff in the media, even the stuff from that court that day, they're going to report that differently to what I actually saw in that courtroom and experienced.
What about R. Kelly?
Oh, R. Kelly deserves everything he's got there. Like,
why are you not sticking up for him?
Not sticking up for R. Kelly, no, because like that guy is like, there's not one centimeter of innocence. He was well known in the industry. He should have been arrested years ago.
He done a video with a 14-year-old or something.
It's disgusting
So
what he did.
Why did he?
I mean, wasn't he like, he was actually like kidnapping them, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was trafficking. He was.
Yeah,
killing these
that
girls.
I would say is like definitely more of a trafficking situation. Like his situation compared to like an Epstein or whatever is like totally different.
But at the start of the podcast as well, we were talking about kids coming from the broken home, girls. That's grooming.
And of course,
but that is grooming as well.
yeah,
but
and
again, you can buy into the lavish lifestyle.
Yeah.
But these guys are manipulating these girls,
Well,
and everybody's got free will.
they
for
are.
sleeping with these
Well,
people.
it's just like
Then
a guy-
Then it's down to them, like you say, hookers,
Yeah.
strippers, whatever the fuck it is. I used to party back in the day, for fuck's
Yeah.
sake. I didn't give a fuck. We were having
well,
the
look,
best time of our life.
any guy with any brain knows that they're going to be able to manipulate a girl much more from a freaking broken home. There's no mother waiting at home for them to come home at night. Oh, darling, what time are you coming back from your dinner date? You know, they're going home to a drug addict mom who's probably like whacked out on heroin, doesn't even realize the daughter's gone. You know, this is why they target that. Like, of course. And those are the kind of girls that they're searching for something. They're searching for love. They don't have any love at home. So they're like yearning that, or they need to make money. They need to survive. Like their parents are not home. The dad's in jail. The mother's like prostitute or something. Like, yeah. So they are really easy targets for sure.
Puff Daddy, P Daddy, You're kind of having his back. For me, I'm the opposite, if I'm
Well,
honest.
I wouldn't say like completely got his back. I put out a post yesterday because it's been on the back of my mind for a while now, actually. And I wanted to just put out, because you put a post up, and it was that kind of really sort of triggered it for me, that, you put this post of him talking to this young girl, who that girl is friends with his youngest son. So it's not him freaking, yes, he calls himself a bad boy records. This guy has never called himself squeaky clean. He can have sex with who he wants. That I don't think anyone should worry about. The fact is, we should worry about if he's actually hurting somebody. If he wants to sleep with men, women, whatever, doesn't affect us. If he wants to do drugs, doesn't affect us. But, to put out a video saying he's sex trafficking, that is obscene. Anyone that has been to parties at his houses, there's no freaking sex trafficking. It's a party. It's a party. He has an alcohol brand. He knows how to have fun. But the FBI just went to the house. The housekeepers there were 2 kids. It's not some crazy tunnel for your QAnon friends. I'm sorry.
But they're saying he could potentially be the next Epstein. The thing with that video with the young girl, and I did say it was his daughter's friend, but as a father myself, it's the characteristics. It's the making the girl feel uncomfortable. As a man, I would never sit with a 12-year-old.
And I know.
I'd think, that's creepy for me as a man who's
right. The thing is as well.
And he looked intoxicated. Doesn't mean he's a fucking trafficker or a paedophile, but it's creepy.
I mean, the thing is, he is a good dad, and that's what I wanted to put out there. He always had his mother on the holidays. Kim Porter, who has 4 children with him. Even when he was dating Cassie, Kim was always there on the holiday. That was going to cause friction. Cassie always knew he's in love with Kim. She never had any kids with him. She didn't have anything that would tie her down with him. Kim was the love of his life. And, when she died, he also lost Andre Harrell, who was also a very good friend of mine. He was the guy that basically discovered Puff Daddy, Sean Combs. And he had a pretty rough time. I think they both died within about 6 months of each other. In 2020, I think it was. Right, maybe did she die in 2019 and then him 2020? But look, he can party and take ecstasy. That's not going to affect us. I don't think he is a bad meaning person. He can get high or whatever. But that video, I think it was just a bit taken out of context, because he does. The thing is, you or I wouldn't be having a wild house party with 11-year-olds in our house
weird.
Out of our minds, right? But he would. And that's just,
but that's weird.
That's the way that he does it.
But that doesn't make it acceptable.
Yeah.
That's still fucking weird. If you got any kids, do you have any kids?
No, I don't.
But if you did, would you have them doing that at a party? Do you know what I'm saying?
Well,
because you haven't got any, it's hard to answer.
Yeah.
As a father, it's fucking weird. If I seen someone doing that to my daughter, he's getting a bullet in the head, and that's not to be tough, because I'm a protector.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have
How
kids.
old is your daughter?
13.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I'm a father, so my job is to provide and protect.
Yeah.
And I'll do that. I was sitting in a cell doing life, not a fucking problem. No
Yeah.
blinking an eye if I knew I was protecting the family.
Yeah.
For me, it was just, that's not what a man does. And we can say he drinks and parties. Doesn't make it acceptable.
Yeah.
And obviously you've got...
That's just that lifestyle. I mean,
it's
we
fucking
don't
weird.
have...
It's that Hollywood madness.
Hollywood is
but
a
the
crazy
big
place.
Tupac, people are saying that he could have been involved. He does seem he wants to be king of the castle, and he was for a very long time.
Yeah.
Paying Cassie what I think people say up to $30 million. She says she was raped and trafficked. Again, it could be bullshit just for money. Having Usher at his house at 13, having the young girls, now it's come out. Again, it could all be a setup again. I genuinely don't know for his brands that he has, because there's a billionaire, he's loaded. So
yeah, I'm trying to figure out who are the people who are benefiting from this takedown. I think that's always the way to look at it. Who are they? Is it the alcohol brand that wanted to cut a relationship with him because he was getting paid too much? Like I said before, Same thing that happened to John Galliano, totally set up. Because he was asking too much money, they're paying him too much. Okay, let's just get rid of him. So, the hip hop world in the US, you got the Crips and the Bloods, and they hate each other. They kill each other every day. And so obviously the rappers on the other side, you've got 50 Cent and stuff, and they're rejoicing right now. I know you got 50 Cent suits. So they're like partying, like fireworks. Yay. Because, 50 Cent, I love 50 Cent. I think he's awesome. But I think he had a hard time at some point, and I think blew all his money and stuff. And then they're probably looking at Diddy like, fuck this guy. Like, he's living this, But, yeah, I met 50 Cent. I'm trying to think. Oh, Cannes Film Festival a couple of years ago. That was it. Very smiley. Very smiley guy.
But his son's mum, apparently she was working with Puff Daddy, and that's where it comes from, because she's on the indictment. She was like a sex worker for him, and that's Puffy's son's mum.
Right.
And again, I don't know all the ins and outs. It is a bit petty, a lot of the stuff, but we get caught up in it because it is big news.
Right.
And like you say, it could be a massive takedown. Maybe he is just a fucking party boy, but it doesn't look good for him from the outside. Then you've got Jay-Z. He's getting his own island. He met Beyonce when she was young. He signed Rihanna when she's young.
Well,
and there's more rumours of that.
People can start
and they two are best friends. Why is he not coming out and supporting his best friend?
People can start saying that Jay-Z's a groomer. He grooms his artists and then marries them. Like it's all, the entertainment world is a really seedy world. It is, especially Hollywood. And the music industry.
Because apparently somebody from the CIA started hip hop because they knew it would brainwash kids into violence and hate and rage, smoking weed and fighting.
The CIA run Hollywood. Yeah, of course.
And they're still doing it.
Yeah.
It's just another another mechanism to brainwash kids to normalise that fucked up life.
Yeah.
And like I said,
that's the thing. Like the CIA, like they control all of this. Like these TV shows that are promoted, like the Kardashians being role models and all of this. This is all freaking CIA. Like what? We've got role models of girls with like these fake bums and big lips and nails like this, and like kids think that this is like they've all got to go out and get butt implants now. Like what is wrong with the world? This is like so sick.
it's mad. Like I say, for sticking up for Diddy.
But it is. The CIA runs Hollywood. Like they own all the big agencies there. They own, between the Chinese and the CIA, they own Hollywood. They own all the studios.
What if it comes out about Diddy that he is as bad as they make out? Would you apologise?
Of course I would. Well, but if you look at my post, I said, if the thing about Cassie is true, I'm horrified. So I actually if someone actually reads the post properly, like I'm showing like both sides, and I'm like, wow, if this is true, like this is horrifying and just awful.
Yeah, because you weren't with them 24/7. There's men out there who are groomers and fucking. I've had 500 interviews. There's going to be some dirty wrongings. Come on, do you know what I'm saying? I go under the radar. I go, yeah, he's sound, but I'm only judging him from appearance. I've been at many parties.
I'm judging from what I saw, but like, over the years, I went to Super Bowl parties at the house, or I went to New Year parties at the Miami house, or yacht parties in St. Bart's. But, whenever I was there, like at a party, like his kids are there, his mom's there, his old best friends are there. Since Kim Porter died, I haven't seen him since really like around the COVID years. Kim died, Andre Harrell. Andre was really like, who we would always hang out all together. So when he passed, I just really haven't like seen him.
Who's the best celebrity you've ever came across?
I've got a few funny stories. I organised this event in Cannes for the film festival. I think it was about 10 years ago, a bit more maybe actually, 10, 15 years ago. And my job was to get like 7 big celebrities. I had 6 weeks to do it. And a friend of mine from this production company, he's like, Victoria, I need your help. Like with your name, they're going to answer on the email. I'm like, okay, let's do this. So, but I knew quite a lot of people, and it was a celebrity poker festival. And, the actors were getting nice paycheck. They were getting a payment to their charity of choice. private jets, houses rented for them in Cannes. It was kind of like cushy job. And I'd never done this before. And I thought, okay, I'm now casting director. Let's do this. So Dennis Hopper was my first signing. We had our list of like people that we wanted. And I thought, I'm going to go with the eldest one, the most respected actor that the other ones would want to sign on. Because that's the thing, right? You need to have those first two, and then the others just come. And you know what? That was the best thing I ever did, getting someone that was respected. Dennis already had like 2 movies in Cannes that year. And so the fact that we were throwing this villa at him and a jet and stuff, like he was like, I'm doing it. The funniest story from that was I had Woody Harrelson had been filming on a closed set in Bucharest. And I met up with his manager in West Hollywood. She hands me this Dolce & Gabbana suit and this pair of vegan shoes. And she's like, you need to bring this to him or he's going to show up in shorts and flip-flops. So I get to Cannes and sure enough, I meet him in the lobby of his hotel and there he is in shorts and flip-flops, like about an hour before the event. And I'm just like, I hand it over to him. I'm like, here you go, get dressed now. He actually ended up winning. But I ended up, I had Tim Robbins, Adrian Brody, Salma Hayek, Ed Norton, Goldie Hawn. Yeah, it was a pretty cool event.
It's not that they've got man stories. Woody Harrison's dad was a murderer. Tim Robbins was also a drug smuggler back in the day.
Right.
Yeah, they've got mad powerful stories.
Woody Harrelson, I know there's like the dad. Was it the dad or the brother?
Dad. He's a hitman or something like that.
Wow.
And it's amazing to overcome that. Unbelievable actor. What do you think of all that life? Do you see a lot of changes in people when the fame and money comes? Do they change? Does a dark entity take over them? Or have they always got that in them?
I don't know. Like, I guess some people do change. But, you know, if there's someone that I know and I've known for a while, I feel like people always remember that you've known them for a long time, so they don't really change with you.
Mm-hmm. Why have they never released the Epstein flight logs? Why is that a big secret?
I thought the flight logs there's a bunch of flight logs that are online.
I think like Tom Hanks and obviously the Clintons.
Okay, Tom Hanks. Now getting into conspiracies, like I definitely like. So what was the name of the guy that died? Remember like that whole story, and Tom Hanks did that very cryptic tweet about it. That actor that basically was trying to warn people about Tom Hanks.
Yeah, I seen the video done a suicide a couple of days later.
Yes. Yeah. Now
he looked tired or he looked unwell.
Yeah, that was very strange.
But they're saying that Hanks, because we're planning to go to Cyprus, because again, is it conspiracies? But again, Pizzagate, you can't go down the rabbit hole when it does.
I believe in Pizzagate, by the way.
But it's mad for you to then, because it's not as if you're on the fence, but you're.
No, I'm not on the fence, but I believe, you see, this is part of the psyop, right? There's real stuff out there and then there's fake stuff and it's all mixed together. And then you got to figure out which of these things are real and which of these things are fake.
But how do we know? How will we ever know?
Well,
unless
just
it comes from the horse's mouth. Yeah, again, the stuff that you can be saying is full of shit, and same as me, we both could be full of shit. It's fucking crazy, because how do we then perceive and then take different things that people see?
Did you ever read the emails?
From who?
That were part of, like, in the Julian Assange, you know, all the data that he released. So, like, some of those emails from Hillary Clinton and stuff talking about basically human sacrifices and calling, you know, some of the stuff was in code.
70,000 emails or something?
Yeah, but, like, the stuff about, you know, young boys had a special code name for the hot dogs. I think they were called the hot dogs and the pizza. I saw a lot of those photos. I mean, a lot of it got scrubbed, you know, from Instagram and stuff, of those kids that disappeared in that whole Pizzagate thing.
Yeah, I've interviewed people who was in.
I mean, you saw it, right? You know, those original, they were put up on that guy's Instagram and obviously deleted, but you can find that stuff on like Telegram or whatever. But pictures of like little kids that were like dressed up.
Yeah, I interviewed.
And they were like, then they had tape over their mouth and they were like taped down and stuff.
But I interviewed the man who was involved in The Sound of Freedom.
Okay,
He was a billionaire,
love that movie.
undercover billionaire, and again, but then the guy Tim who was in it, there was sexual claims coming out about him. So how the fuck? But then everybody then deflects.
I know.
How do you then they'll say it's a Matrix attack, or they're coming after me because you're exposing this? But did they already know they were coming after him anyway? So they jump on this train to try and deflect and get people on their side. I don't know. There's a lot of fuckery in the world, but there's a lot of beautiful stuff in the world as well.
Yeah, I mean the thing is, I think information gets thrown out, put out there, and some of it's real and some of it isn't, and it's kind of our job. We just have to kind of figure out which stuff is true, because they want us to run with a completely wrong story and then go, oh no, that isn't true, so this person can't be talking the truth. So there's a lot of like red herrings out there as well, which that was happening during COVID all the time, right? Misinformation.
Yeah.
So along with a lot of stuff that was real, then there would be other stuff that was put out that was not real.
Yeah, like that's why anybody watching or listening, question everything, question what you are saying. And like
And
I say, this is a healthy
research.
conversation. This is a healthy discussion. Like you say, we're not agreeing, disagreeing. There's things that I agree with, but it's just a discussion with the information that we have in life. Yeah. Where do you go forward for the future with it all? What's your YouTube and stuff? I know you're trying to get videos
so
and stuff.
I need to build up my YouTube. It's at Lady Victoria Hervey. That's Hervey.
People ain't that
And
daft.
Instagram is Lady Victoria Hervey as well. I know, but like some people get confused with, they call me Hervey, and it's like I've had that since school. So if I say Harvey, they put HA, but it's HE. So everyone. But yeah, I think it sort of comes from French originally, Hervé.
Yeah, sounds Scottish, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I've got Scottish in me actually. That's where I get my height from.
maybe
Scottish
that's what
guy.
the fuck happened to my height then. But you're a very staunch person. You're very strong. You're very. This is what I believe, and you've got the balls to fucking say it, and that takes courage, especially in this day and age. You don't need to be at the forefront.
Yeah.
Try to stick up for Andrew.
Well, I feel like, since 2020, I feel like I'm being in the battle scene, and it's not the COVID battle anymore, but it's just getting the right information out. And for me, it's sort of like now become a duty, because I've had some key witness people and they've reached out to me because I've been the one that has been vocal about it. And because I have a public profile, they trust me. They know I'm not going to mess them over, like I'm not a journalist. And they trust me with information. And with that information now, I am helping get it out for them.
Have you ever been questioned over anything? Been friends with all these people?
I mean, questioned about what?
Just being friends with them. Like, say, met Epstein, Andrew, Maxwell, high profile cases.
No, these people, it's all talk, right? Like that, the fake photo thing, like the FBI never even had the picture. Like it was a copy of the fake photo was put on a disc. And when they were threatening a lawsuit with Prince Andrew, Virginia's team was trying to pretend there was a hard copy of a photo. There never was. It was a complete freaking lie. Like, never has been.
But if that does come out as a lie and everything's false, man.
Guys, I'm so excited. We'll come back and we'll do round 2.
Listen, I'm up for it. And this is why it's always stay open-minded.
And then will you make me like a medal and some sort of Hawaiian flower shirt or something?
You fucking need it, because if I'm honest, 99.9% of people think Andrew's guilty.
Yeah.
They think he's involved in some madness with Epstein. It doesn't look good with the meetings and staying at his house and the pizza stuff and the sweating and the photos and all those girls giving statements. So it's hard to then turn that. Yeah, you've got to be honest. It is very difficult. Yeah, like, listen, fair play, and listen, and I hope, I don't want people of the world to be run by monsters. I want you to be right. I want you to think the world's okay. But again, who's behind those strings that then can destroy lives like that? That's the questions that. But we've seen it through the years. Presidents getting shot. all the fakery goes on with fucking moon landings or whatever it is that's out there.
Yeah. What do you think about the
So,
fake moon
there's
landing,
no
by
way
the
they're
way?
real.
No.
No way.
So fake, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's fake as fuck.
So
Those
fake.
machines and...
I tried to talk to someone about that recently, and like Victoria, I'm like,
That's my
those
opinion.
were
You know,
not real.
It just looks so
You see,
fake.
so I believe in
Yeah.
this stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I don't say like no to these conspiracies. Like, that was fake. That was totally staged. And actually, who is the famous director who admitted it later on when he died? They found all these notes that he'd written, admitting
There's
that
a guy from NASA.
he was asked to film it. No, he was a director.
But how can you film it? Even when the spaceship goes up, you see the camera going up as well. The boots are different than the moon. I think the flag is moving because there's no wind up there. So
right.
I don't know. But
Crazy.
again, it could be fake. Maybe I'm just going down that route. But I just question it. I'm not asked if it's real or not anyway. It doesn't really... I don't wake up and go, oh, is the moon? I don't fucking care. But I'm just interested in why the lie.
Yeah.
Because you look at the Truman Show.
Well, they apparently were trying to, the Americans were trying to say that they wanted to be the first ones,
Before
basically.
Russia.
They wanted to beat Russia. They wanted to, America's the leading, country of the world. We want to be the first ones. And yeah, they lied.
Just before we finish up, because I know you spoke about the monarchy crashing, which is a possibility. Do you think?
Well, I don't think it's crashing. The monarchy is under attack right now.
But do you think that's
And the
that's what it is?
leftist media is having a field day with this.
So if it was to crash, what would happen?
It's not going to crash.
No, but if it ever did,
It never will.
because the UK has been a strong force on this planet since existence.
The UK is strong. Like, there's been so many things that the royal family has had to live with throughout the centuries. Like, this is a breeze right now. But it's been hard, I think, for the current members of the royal family. Like, this has not been easy. As you said before, Meghan Markle. And, I think the stress of her to the family, that could have been one of the reasons that's brought down Kate. Cancer is stress at the end of the day. And I think if people lived in an atmosphere that was less stress, like more stress-free, there would be less illness.
See, it's mad. I always thought the royal family were immune to everything. I didn't think they would
Well,
ever
as a child, you grow
I
up.
didn't think they would ever have cancers. I didn't think Prince Andrew would be doing interviews. I didn't think the media would be speaking negative about
Well,
them.
the Queen...
They're not that much protected as people think.
They're not. And you see, they used to be, because the Queen was really good like that. She didn't give too much. You never saw the Queen speaking about politics. She was just sort of behind, smiling, doing her speeches, but didn't get political. And I think that's where it's also gone wrong right now. Like, we should be staying away
People
from...
genuinely do love the royal family. Like if King Charles was
And
to
what
put out a
do you
post-
think about this whole green agenda?
Yeah, I don't give a fuck. I'm not for any agenda. I'm for me, my family, the people around me. I'm only trying to learn from my mistakes, stay open-minded, how people can have a better life and a better understanding. I don't have all the answers, but I'm working at it to then have some patterns and tools and techniques for people to go, well, wait a minute, that guy changed. He's doing well for himself. He's not happy 24/7, but he knows if he's unhappy, he can't change it.
But what do you think about climate change?
It's all bullshit.
Right?
It's all bullshit. You've got a young 14-year-old
Such
girl get into
bullshit.
schools and putting fear into everybody. The world's massive. When you actually go on an aeroplane, how empty is the world? There's not much. There's so much space.
I know.
So, plans for the future. Give me your plans. Where do you see yourself?
I don't know. I'm just sort of going with the flow right now. I moved back a year ago. I'm really enjoying my time back in England, and we'll see what happens. I'm working on a book at the moment, so I'd like to get that finished.
You've got a book out before?
I did. I brought a fiction novel out before. It was a fictionalized version of my teenage years at boarding school. So I know, probably for your kind of age group, daughter, obviously not you. But yeah, they're working on that, and once this whole madness of Virginia Giuffre comes out, George and I are going to be working on a screenplay.
Yeah, but like I say, man, I welcome you back on with all the information when you can release it. But listen, if it's putting wrongs to right, I'm all for it.
I'm just about finding out the truth, and that is that has always been like what I'm looking for.
What do you think, just before, sorry again, what do you think of the Harry and Meghan situation?
I think it's not a good situation. I think he's completely blinded.
Could she be a plant?
So I always said this, and I even said this to a journalist friend of mine a couple of years ago, and they wouldn't write the story. I even gave it to the Sun newspaper. They're like, we can't write this. But I literally feel like she's like a spy.
Listen, it's a possibility.
I feel like she's a government asset. Like having close ties with Obama and the Clintons is like a red flag to me.
But it's like you say, you get in there, actually get him to fall head over heels, break up with his family. That puts a massive strain. Two brothers. Brothers should be dying for each other.
Yeah.
Not letting women get fucking involved. If somebody's trying to turn you against your brother, fuck them off.
And actually, interestingly enough, there was another actor, I have to look it up, who actually, it's on record, it's in a piece from a newspaper somewhere, but he also said, I think she's a government asset. I really do believe that.
Lady V,
Great
thanks.
to meet you.
Thanks for coming on today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I hope everything you're saying is true, and a lot of people are innocent. But if you're not, I expect you to come back on and have an apology.
Yes.
Would you like to finish up
I'll
on
be
anything
back.
else?
No, I think we're good. I think we covered everything.
Listen, again, thanks for everything. I wish you nothing but the best for the future.
Thank you so much.